Meilyne gifted me these I think mangoes that are only available in certain periods of the year. And you know what Meilyne's like. She's
it's grass-fed.
Actually, it's grass-fed mango. I have never had so much juice just burst into my mouth before.
Oh, yeah? All right.
Oh, we're rolling? Oh.
You're the host, Joey.
Oh, no, I was waiting for the go. I was waiting for Kai to be like, yeah, we're good.
And so the boo boo boom boom.
Yeah, I did log off just now. All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Trash Taste Podcast. I'm your host, Joey, for today, and also joined with me are my co-hosts, Connor Garnt. I was lagging a little bit last time.
Lag. So
You got some brain lag going on,
I
Joey?
did have a little bit of brain lag.
Well, your brain may be lagged because we're 5 years in the past now, living.
Well, you guys are.
Well, 5 years in the future, you mean?
No. We're going to go to the past.
Oh, okay.
We're going to revisit the
What
past.
a great start to an episode.
Joey, explain what we're doing.
Okay, so it's been about 5 years for both Connor and Garnt here since they moved to Japan. And it's almost been 5 years since we started the podcast. And obviously, having lived in Japan for that period of time, you've probably seen a lot of things change in terms of what you think about certain aspects of Japan. I'm sure, you live anywhere for 5 years, your perspectives are going to change, right?
Yep.
So today, what I thought could be fun is we've filled up Trashbox-kun here with a bunch of prompts about certain Japanese things. And essentially, we're going to go through each one, talk about it, and kind of reminisce, I guess, retrospectively look back on, what was this like 5 years ago when you first moved to Japan versus how you feel about it now and whether it's better or worse or it hasn't changed. We kind of just talk about it from there. Obviously, I'm hosting this one today because it's been more than 5 years for me since I moved here. So hopefully I can give you guys a little bit more of a unique perspective on it. Do you think any aspect, before we jump into anything, how has it living in Japan 5 years been for you guys? Has it lived up to the expectations or?
Well, I mean, I didn't leave.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, I mean,
must
it's
be pretty good.
It's
I mean, Trash Taste has kind of held you guys back here.
Whoa, wow, no,
regardless of
Joey.
Trash
What do you mean?
Taste.
You're contractually obligated to stay here to finish Trash Taste.
What is the Trash Taste endgame? I don't know, but either way, I've stayed in Japan because I've enjoyed staying in Japan.
I'd be here with I fucking love being here.
Yeah, that's good. That's
I think, but I definitely have changing opinions on many things.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
so
as any human
go,
would.
Yeah, we're going to go
So,
right into
I
that
think
then. So
we'll-
let's go through the first one. Transportation, trains, taxis, etc.
I mean, that was always goated. It's still goated, and
It's more goated.
it's more goated than
more
every
goated.
time I go back to America.
Every time I go back home to Australia, I'm just like, man, how did I live like this? It's actually insane. When people say
I dread taking a train anywhere else.
oh my god, yeah,
Yeah.
I just dread public transport anywhere else. I feel okay, buses can be a hit or a miss sometimes. At least I don't know how it's like in the UK, but
It's pretty good in the UK.
it's pretty good. Yeah,
Comparative to other countries.
You're from Brighton, so I feel like it's better there. Wales, not so great.
Oh, really?
They might just not show up.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Brighton's pretty good. London's pretty good.
Yeah,
with
London's
that.
great. London, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys have definitely been taking a lot more taxis though. I've noticed.
I have been taking more taxis lately, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lazy.
Tax deductible, isn't it? If
It is tax deductible. Yeah, the one thing that's kind of annoying about Seeker is that trying to get that shit to my accountant was fucking tough.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
you have to get it, I know that the fucking mobile Suica app is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically getting the proof and then on the taxi is super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that that's the main reason, but
Yeah.
the main reason is that I'm lazy. That also just helps justify my laziness.
Yes.
enough.
That part of me has changed.
Right.
Most definitely. I take a lot more taxis, but
Yeah, maybe I'm just fucking stingy, but if I can avoid taking the taxi, I will avoid taking a taxi.
I think, because where I live, oftentimes I'll click somewhere and it'll be 35-minute train, 20-minute taxi. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go shower for 50 minutes and enjoy a coffee and then I'll get my taxi.
the big difference between me 5 years ago and me now is, there's no way to go around it. I'm in a lot better place here.
We're rich, Joey. I'm rich.
I have more money.
I'm rich, and I'm tired of pretending I'm not.
Does that mean that I go out and buy a fucking Gucci bag every day?
Yeah.
Yes. No. Okay. No.
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 You don't?
No.
I don't. But there are two places that my spending habits has changed.
Yeah.
Number one is, yes, taking taxis. Yes. But with that, I can kind of like justify it with like this is me being like pure cope justifying this, even though I know that I'm just fucking lazy. I'm like, yeah, but it's like more convenient for like the tax thing because as Connor said,
we find ways to cope.
Yeah. And if I'm traveling somewhere for work, then the taxi just makes sense. It just makes sense.
I see the one thing I just cannot justify, no matter how many times I take the taxi, and no matter how long or short the ride may be, I'm just like, fuck. It's so expensive.
I think if I was going like pretty far out, I don't know, over a 30-minute journey, I think normally it's train sitch.
Yeah.
Because normally at that point the taxis don't even save that.
Yeah, they don't save
time.
you time, and then you also just spend a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and like especially I don't know how it is with you guys back home, but like if say for example if I take like an Uber back home in Australia, right? Like say if it's like a 20-25 minute ride on an Uber, the most I'll pay maybe is like $30, right?
Yeah.
But a 25-minute taxi ride here in Japan is like double that.
Yeah.
And you're also playing like life roulette because sometimes you'll hop into a taxi and you're like, oh, this person doesn't know where they're going, even with the GPS.
The time when I often find that taxis get expensive and when I'm like, you should probably reconsider it, is that if you need to go on a highway at any point, you're probably getting into the point where it's getting pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So I would just look on Google Maps. Like, there are some journeys, like, for example, me getting to the office here, it's like a 10-minute taxi. Or I normally cycle it if I can.
Yeah.
Or a 30-minute train. Because the trains, I have to go back
you have
out
to, like,
and come back in, and then I have to
Yeah.
walk back. So it's kind of like, I'm like, you know what? we may be early. I'm just gonna fucking take a taxi. Fuck this.
No, okay,
I'll wake it up.
that makes sense, right? If I was put in that same position, I would also.
But I also have the
taxi.
luxury of that choice, right? Like I think like when I moved to Saitama, it was I would
You had to
never
take the train.
Yeah, I would take the train.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if everyone wanted to go to Tokyo, I remember
like an hour
go,
taxi.
Yeah, we go for a night out, and then we all had to like communally agree to the night out.
Yeah.
Because if one of us wanted
because we could not take a singular taxi.
No.
We'd have to like
Yeah.
split it.
Yeah, because it was like $120. So it was like, fuck me. Like if one of us took that, it would be $120.
And if we just missed the last train, we'd be like, okay, guys, we're all splitting this bill, right?
Yeah.
Because I am paying this bill.
Yeah, that's the only time where I'm like, fuck this, I'm taking the taxi is when if I'm at a night out in Tokyo or somewhere where I'm like quite far away from home and I know it's going to be more than like $100 on the taxi.
Yeah.
But it's also like 2 a.m. The first train doesn't arrive for another 2.5 hours. I'm just like, I'm too drunk to make sane choices. I'm just like, fuck it. I just want to be in bed. I will pay any amount of money to get to bed.
It was fun back in the day having to be like, nah, fuck it, I'll stay up till 4. But now I'm like, no, I'm going back. Okay.
I can't do it anymore.
And that is the part that I definitely appreciate that, yes, that has changed about me. It is the privilege of having freedom of choice.
Yeah, true. I mean, how many times do you guys ever get to the position now where you're out till like past last train?
Not much anymore.
Not much. No, a fair amount.
Oh, really?
I think my nights normally go to like 1 or like 12.
Well, that's because you go out with Pete a lot.
Yeah,
Pete, I've noticed when you go out with Pete, it's never like he always has more in the tank.
He does.
You will hit a point where you're like, all right, here's a cool place to end the night. Pete's just like, I got like 5 more bars.
I think I'm slowly rubbing off on Pete because I'm like, Pete, it's 12:30. We got to stop planning to go home. Like we got to call it because I want to work tomorrow. We got to call it.
That's true.
But yeah, it depends. Honestly, the biggest factor I've noticed in my own personal life when the night will go long or not is when did we meet up? Because if we meet up at like 5, I'm gonna be in bed by 11. If we meet up at like 7:30 for dinner, we'll probably be out till like 1 because I feel like it's just so late when you started.
Right.
You didn't really like. I don't know.
I think for me, it also just depends on like the occasion and also maybe just like the vibe, right? Because it's like you can meet up at like, I don't know, 4 in the afternoon because you just happen to have a day off, and you know, if you're with people that you really gel with, then sometimes I'll have those nights where I'm like, shit, man, it's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'll meet up at like 8 p.m. and I'll be like, fuck, it's 11 already. I gotta go home, boys.
Yeah,
But,
time to fucking go.
Outside, one other thing, just to finalize the taxi conversation, is that I remember in London when I wanted to get a taxi after like 1 a.m. Sometimes it could be a little difficult to get a taxi. Rarely, but it was.
Yeah.
I'd really have to like fucking look for one. And even then, they might not stop for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's true. Whereas
In
here, it's
taxi,
like everywhere.
In Japan, I walk 2 feet, put my hand up, and 4 taxis are already lining up.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah. And there's the taxi app as well, which is like, even if it doesn't appear, you can just
Yeah.
call one.
Uber's great
I
here.
mean, yeah, just transport here is just fucking goated no matter what you say about it.
Before we move on, one other part of the conversation. Obviously, bullet trains are amazing. Bullet
Yes.
trains are always great.
Of course.
One of the things that is like I think really underrated is the amount of airports that Japan has and the amount of areas they service. It's not just like the main areas. Like Hokkaido, there's pretty much an airport every like 100 kilometers or so along like every point. So like if you want to go pretty rural Hokkaido, you can get a flight from Tokyo probably like once a day that goes to a very rural part.
Yeah.
And it's good. It'll be on time. It's great service.
I mean, there's also a lot of just
you can go
prefectures
everywhere.
on the mainland that you can't get to with bullet train.
Yeah.
As well. Like, it's either airport or drive. There's like no other choice.
Yeah, like if you want to go to like
Shimane or something.
yeah, Shimane or Tottori or Shikoku, like those places you can get to by train, but it's almost like when you go past, I'd say like Hiroshima, like that kind of distance, like 3-hour bullet train. It's always quicker to get a
plane.
flight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No matter where you're thinking
And
of
the
it.
price isn't that much different because like
Normally cheaper than bullet train.
yeah, because at that point bullet train is you are basically taking a plane.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
basically buying a plane ticket at that price.
And flying is so easy in Japan because they never had a 9/11. So it's super easy. Domestic,
That's
bro,
one way to put it.
bro. Domestic, you can really do some gold splits. You can,
you can, yeah.
genuinely. I don't recommend it. You can rock up. I'd say semi comfortably, 15 minutes for your flight.
I've done that before.
I've done it too.
And it was terrifying at first, but I was like, damn, I'm throwing like 5 minutes.
Because like when they say the flight takes off in Japan at like 10 on an international flight, they'll start boarding like 20, 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
Japan,
Yeah.
they won't start boarding until like literally like 5 minutes or on the time.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
say they're leaving.
Yeah.
So
I've never done
every
that
single
before.
time.
Yeah.
I
we don't
only-
recommend it.
I only feel confident doing that because I've flown so many times.
Yeah.
But if you're going to a rural part where there's only one flight a day, wouldn't recommend it.
Yep.
If you're going to
Yeah.
Sapporo, there's like 15 a day. Don't
Yeah.
fucking worry about it. You'll be fine.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate public transport in Japan the more I fly out. Even going to Thailand.
Everything here is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So still just as goaded.
Still
as 5
just as
years
More
ago.
goated.
goaded. More goaded.
Bro,
All
going to Bangkok this Christmas, I was like, damn, they have upped the public transport so much since I lived there 6 years ago.
Yeah.
To go into the city now, it used to take me during rush hour like an hour and a half, and now it's like 40 minutes. That's and that is the improvement you're talking about.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here in Japan, it's just like fuck.
Wait, so
There's a
what-
train that comes every 2 minutes.
So the improvement I saw was going into Bangkok taking an hour and a half to like halving that time,
Wait,
but
what-
it's still
what halved
40
it?
minutes. Huh?
What halved it?
They've just built a lot more infrastructure in terms of public transport. in
More
Bangkok.
lanes.
No.
I saw that
They-
Thailand's economically been crushing it lately. They've been-
Yeah, yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. Bangkok's changed a lot since I last lived
Do we
there.
have Kohi?
We do
Oh,
have
my
Kohi.
goodness.
Thailand's crushing it economically. Meanwhile, Japan is like, what do we do?
Conversing. Was it easier to make friends and communicate with people living in Japan before or after 5 years?
Oh, I would assume after,
After?
right?
Yeah,
Because
I
you
mean,
know more
5 years.
Japanese.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's definitely that naivete that maybe can score you a couple of bonus points where you're like, I just moved here. And people are like, oh, let me show you around. But
Yeah.
definitely now, I think, because I feel, I never ever get intimidated talking or like feel overwhelmed talking to like a Japanese person.
Although
No.
one thing I definitely have noticed now that I have, now that I am an adult living in Japan as opposed to when I was a kid living in
Yeah.
Japan, is that when I was a kid living in Japan, I feel like people were more open or more comfortable talking to me if I spoke Japanese, right? Because I was still a child and, they didn't have to dance around to try and, communicate with a child, right? But I
Yeah.
feel now that I'm an adult, I get more positive interactions with Japanese people if I pretend I can't speak a word of Japanese.
Yeah.
It's like this weird dichotomy where it's like if I start speaking in Japanese to an adult, there's that moment of like, what the fuck? Like that should not be coming out of your face right now. And then it takes a while for them to adjust to be like, oh wait, no, he may look not Japanese, but he is Japanese. Whereas if I'm just go up and being like, oh hey, sake, right boys? Then they're a lot more like, yeah, this foreigner knows what the fuck he's talking about. Let's go. And I feel like they're more comfortable. And I guess because it's giving them an opportunity to also speak English.
Yeah.
Right? So they, especially in like a drinking setting, they're a lot more comfortable immediately.
Yeah.
As opposed to me speaking in Japanese. Is that the case with you guys?
Funnily enough, yes.
Yeah, right.
But not for Japanese. I have a very, very similar experience whenever I go to Thailand.
Yeah.
And I do that. Whenever, let's say I'm like, talking to a random Thai person, I like start the conversation off in Thai. Like immediately they're like, yo, Hafu? Yo, you are Hafu? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were one of us, but you are Hafu. I'm like, no, I'm not a Hafu. I just grew up abroad. Okay, I'm sorry, my accent's a bit weird.
Well, I think it's kind of like the vibe of when you get to talk to like the new kid or something.
Yeah,
where it's like he doesn't know anything.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of fun that you both have this kind of no knowledge of each other.
Yeah.
And then when you speak the language or like fluently, I think there's that kind of like
yeah,
you know,
he already knows.
You know everything.
Yeah, right.
There's no like fun to be had here. Because I've also noticed, and I was thinking about this the other day, when I'm hanging out with Pete and Pete talks to people in Japanese, he's so good at making people feel so comfortable and engaged. And one thing that I noticed that he does is that, so he'll speak Japanese, but he'll also always talk to them super basic in English. And I think people really like it when they can understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, dude, this is so fun. You know, because I don't know. And I realized that today as well, my taxi driver, so this happens a lot too, where I'll go in and I'll speak Japanese, I'll do everything in Japanese. And when I'm leaving, they'll turn around with a big grin on their face and be like, thank you. And I'll be like, thank you too. And then they'll look super happy and pumped. And I'm like,
you're like a Skyrim NPC.
Well, because they're like, I can imagine the whole drive. They're thinking like, I can't wait to fucking. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna try it.
So hard.
Yeah. So
I've had that point where in taxi drivers where I'm speaking to them with Japanese and they just like refuse to reply to me. The standoff, and I know it's because they're like, no, this is my opportunity. I'm gonna take it. I'm taking this.
I'm about to use all my skill points right now.
Which is fair because like they get less English time than we get Japanese time, right?
Yeah,
so I'm okay with it.
Because I've had so many interactions where I'll get in a taxi and then we'll start conversing in Japanese and then they reply in Japanese and then they'll have this one line that is just like they're giddy to say like, can you put on your seatbelts, please? And it's just like, okay.
I think that's what it is. It's like now, and I think like now that I finally like recognize that, where it's like, oh, I don't have to speak Japanese unless it's a situation where clearly it would be more beneficial for both parties if I could speak Japanese. Like, I'm not going to go to the fucking city hall and being like, where do I sign the paper? Like, I'm not going to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
But if it's in like a casual conversation, like I've noticed that like so many Japanese people are so eager to use English that I'm like, well, then I'll give them the satisfaction to use that English because I don't know, they probably have way less of an instance to be able to use that as opposed to me using Japanese. This episode is sponsored by Zocdoc. Boys, when was the last time you needed to go to the doctor, but you just pushed it off?
Just every single time.
You probably made an excuse like, oh, I'm too busy, or I forgot where I put my insurance card. I think we've all been there. Because booking a doctor appointment can just feel so daunting. But thanks to Zocdoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor that's right for you.
Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care and more. And you can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, and are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and are highly rated by verified patients. You can also filter based on specific preferences, whether that's looking for a male doctor, speaks a specific language, has a availability that fits your work schedule, or has an opening in the next day or so. Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time slot that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. And appointments made through Zocdoc also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking, and you can even score same-day appointments.
Luckily for us in Japan, Geeks Plus helps us sort out all our doctor's appointments. They make it easy but if we were living in the US where things are much more of a headache to try and sort out and we wouldn't know what we were doing, we'd definitely use Zocdoc. Stop putting off your doctor appointments and go to Zocdoc.com/trash to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
Do it.
That's ZocDoc.com/trash. Zocdoc.com/trash.
Back to the episode.
All right, deep question.
Okay.
This is a deep question. Did you ever go through a period? This is gonna go deep. Did you ever go in a period in your life when you were like in Japan, maybe as a kid, where you specifically spoke Japanese because you wanted to like maybe subconsciously or consciously you wanted to be like to be accepted as like a real
of course.
Japanese person?
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Even though you grew up abroad.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like especially when I was a kid, that happened a lot because like I had a lot of like identity issues of like I wasn't fitting into Japan because I could speak English and I wasn't fitting into Australia because I was half Japanese, right? So I was like, fuck. There was so many, like I think I've told this story on Trash Taste before, like a long time ago, but when I was like, I was maybe like 6-7 years old, I was visiting my grandma with my sister, and she took us to like a supermarket, and she was like, all right, go to the sweets aisle, and here's 500 yen, you can get whatever you want, kind of thing, yeah. And so, we're picking it, and, Aki's, my sister's picking it, Aki, Ellie, my sister's picking through some stuff, and I could hear, there was like kids, Japanese kids, roughly around my age, so like, first, second grade. And they're like whispering to each other. Because, we're in middle of nowhere in Sendai. They've probably never seen a foreigner child in their life, right? So they're just like whispering, blah, blah, blah. But I could hear what they were saying, They were like, oh, look at these like fucking gaijins, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what came over me. There was maybe that like pride of like, I can understand what you're saying. So I was like, I'll show them. my 6-year-old mind was like, I'll show them. So really loud so they could hear in Japanese. I said to my sister in Japanese, I was like, oh, you're done picking what you want.
Yeah.
And my sister being, I don't know, 2, 3 at the time, caught onto it immediately. Replies back also in perfect Japanese, like, yes, brother, I am done. Let's go. And we decided to walk towards the kids. And the look on these kids' faces, man. You would have thought they just saw the face of God. They were like, it's like, he just, Nihonjin? And so, yeah, there was definitely that part where it's like, I felt a lot of pride towards that side, especially while I was in Japan.
Yeah.
But nowadays, man, like, I've lived in this country long enough where I'm like, I look like this. I don't look like your typical Japanese person. So obviously there's always going to be that wall of like, nah, you can't speak a word of Japanese. So I've just accepted that now.
Yeah, because I asked because I like went through the exact same phase where, obviously I can speak Thai. My Thai is not as good as your Japanese because it's very, very obvious that I have an accent basically.
Right.
Because even though I've lived in Thailand, I haven't like specifically I didn't like grow up in Thailand. So I've only really used Thai with like my parents, my mum and dad, which is why my specific Thai is very, very, very polite. To the point where wherever I go out with like any Thai friends, they're like, can you please stop speaking to me like you speak to your mum? And I'm like, I do not know how not to do that.
Right. It's only that way.
Yeah, because my mum didn't teach me any slang, any cuss words, anything else. So it'd be like very, very obvious. So when I was like growing up and even when I lived in Thailand like 5 years ago, whatever, I did feel like that disappointment whenever people would be like, oh, you're a hafu? Oh, okay, go off, you little foreigner, whatever. But yeah, I guess I got more and more comfortable with it, just accepting that, hey, I think growing up in like so many different places and so many different areas has just given you a unique perspective on the world where you might not exactly, feel like you're specifically accepted as purely like Japanese or purely Thai or whatever because you didn't have X experience or Y experience. But then I feel like we also have the unique experience where we've it's like the modern world of becoming like a cultural melting pot where we can connect to even more people because of the unique experiences that we've gotten.
Yeah. I mean, like, I obviously will switch to Japanese if the conversation is getting to a point where like maybe they're struggling to keep up with the conversation in English and they clearly want to keep talking to me, or if they specifically ask like, do you speak Japanese, or like, what's your nationality or whatever, which is a very common question to get thrown out in Japan especially. Then I'll switch to Japanese, and then we can go from there. But
yeah, I always forget that. Yeah, where are you from is such a normal question to ask in Japan. But then, like, if I asked that in the UK,
I'd be like, "What do you mean?
What the fuck you mean? Where am I from? Well, I'm from fucking here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a normal thing in Thailand as well. It's just like, oh, where are you from? Oh, you are Hafu? Or,
it's like, oh, you don't look or sound like me. Where are you from?
God, it's been so like my accent is spelled. My accent in Thai recently has been like fucking awful because it's like a tonal language.
Yeah.
And the best way I can describe not getting practice with a tonal language is like, when you know the lyrics of a song, but you don't know the melody of the song.
Right.
So you say you know how it sounds, but like I will have moments where I'm just like, okay. I got it. I got the tone.
It's like, hold up, I need a. It's like, It's like if someone asks you, like, can you speak Thai? And you're like, hold on, let me do my vocal warm ups.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I got it.
Yeah. Oh, tonal languages seem like a nightmare to remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why it's so hard to learn for people who don't naturally learn any tonal languages.
Yeah, you kind of have because there's only like a few tones. You kind of have a guess at like what it sounds like. But for me, since English is my first language, I know what it sounds like, I guess, phonetically. But then sometimes my tone doesn't match with my memory of the words, so I just have to like adjust it like mid-sentence.
Yeah, right.
Which people definitely notice.
So would you say then you guys have more fun now conversing with Japanese people as opposed to back then?
I just speak better.
Yeah.
So
I guess because like now you're more used to it as well.
Yeah,
right?
way more used to the conversations.
There are still things that I still have trouble getting over, and that is the same things I have trouble getting over in English. That's just my social anxiety. I will never get over going on a phone call. That shit terrifies me.
Yeah.
It just terrifies me even more in Japanese because I'm like...
because there's a million more dialogue options now.
I don't know why, but when when I get a random phone call from a number I don't know or anything. It doesn't matter if it's in English. It's just even more terrifying in Japanese. Yeah. Right. In English, even if it's a call from the bank, I don't want to pick up the phone call.
Every time I see a phone number I don't recognize calling me, 80% of my brain is like, hang up now.
Right.
Like, don't even pick that shit up. It's a scam. Don't pick it up.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I do I never pick it up. I always Google the number.
Oh,
and
really?
If it comes up as a business that I like a postal service, I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
right.
Or like, oh, it's the government building.
Yeah.
Don't know. Just don't want to. Just in case, like, I don't know, someone accidentally got my phone number and they're trying to like verify it's me.
Exactly.
So
just being cautious.
Being cautious. Just being cautious. Yeah. All right, I picked one out. Let's see what it says. All right.
What do you got?
Being a foreigner.
Wow.
What does that mean? What does that
this
mean?
is
kind of a conversation we just had.
Kind of conversation we just had.
I'll pick another one.
Yeah.
Does it get better to be a foreigner?
When do I not become foreigner?
Well, I mean, I guess in that aspect, maybe it has gotten better because, when you guys moved, it was right before COVID started, right? So you guys kind of experienced the Japan where there was little to no foreigners in the country. And now...
I mean, being a foreigner in Japan was also kind of weird during COVID because you definitely felt like
how are you here?
Like some people, they either think how are you here, or I feel like, I mean, just straight up like racism where they were like, oh god, you must have like COVID or something.
Yeah.
Like that definitely happened.
Yeah.
And that was definitely frustrating because that was like, dude, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. It's like we're not the ones that started it.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know if this is a thing. I will say, obviously, like pre-COVID, but they're definitely like post-COVID or definitely during like the tourism boom, being a foreigner has felt different.
For sure.
I maybe like I feel like some establishments has had that foreigner fatigue. I don't know.
Yeah.
There used to be sometimes this excitement when, oh my god, there's a foreigner coming to this place or coming to this town or this area.
Yeah.
And now it just seems like, okay, another tourist, all right.
Yeah, I definitely feel over the years there's definitely been a lot more just like unwarranted stigma towards foreigners visiting Japan, right?
Yeah, and sometimes warranted stigma.
And sometimes warranted,
and
obviously.
sometimes warranted.
But like I also
the news here definitely fear mongers with foreigners,
course.
which I mean we're also in a time globally where like I guess not liking foreign people in your country is a very common opinion, gaining a lot of popularity in the world. So it's kind of, it's normal.
Yeah, especially, coming off the backbone of last year where I think it's like, it was the most amount of tourists Japan has ever had ever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like close as well. And then on top of that, the COVID stuff as well. Definitely in the past 5 years, I've noticed that there are a lot more demographics, I guess, especially in the Japanese population that have just kind of really just gotten a sour taste towards foreigners, whether that be warranted or unwarranted, which is a shame. But hey, what can you do? Yeah,
because I feel like, I feel like the thing before versus after was, you might have been treated differently, but I think it came from a place of like curiosity almost, where they just never experienced having a foreigner at this place or this establishment or whatever. Yeah. And it's been like a very subtle shift, and it's not everywhere. It's definitely not everywhere. I've just noticed in some places I feel like there has been some fatigue in terms of that dealings, and I can't really blame them. With the amount of tourism that's happened, it'll be weird if they always stay the same, but that's something I have definitely noticed.
I've also definitely noticed that there are way more establishments that have English menus now.
Oh, yeah.
And I only know this because every time I walk into a restaurant, motherfuckers are always like, English menu?
yeah.
And I'm like, daijobu desu, actually.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten that less lately. I don't know why, though.
Really?
I mean, maybe it's the places
I've gone, especially like growing up in Japan, like there was like, if there was a place that had an English menu when I was growing up, I was like, oh, okay, this place is popular with the tourists.
Even when we came, I felt like it was only really the big chains.
Exactly.
Normally, sometimes the English menu was so unusable.
Yeah.
Like
Hanbei.
It was like Hanbei. Oh my god.
I mean, that's still unusable.
Yeah, Hanbei's
but also hilarious.
Yeah, and that's a great place to go.
Yeah,
Hanbei's a cool spot. You should go to Hanbei.
Exactly.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think it's fine being a foreigner here, but yeah, definitely it's definitely changed. It's definitely changed a lot. COVID changed a lot of things, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And I still feel like we're not going to see the full effects, at least mentally, of what COVID caused for a little while. I feel like there's still a lot of people who have lingering thoughts.
I will say that one thing that has changed for the better in terms of foreigners, and maybe this is just from my perspective, but I feel a lot more younger people are way more open to talking to foreigners.
Yes, I'd say so.
Yeah, like when I was growing up, it was almost like the younger generation were just kind of almost fearful to talk because maybe they were doubting their abilities to communicate, or they just had little to no information about foreigners and foreigner culture. But I feel now, especially with all these tourists coming to Japan and now that the younger generation now have a lot more access to the internet and stuff like that, I just feel there's like more of a curiosity towards foreigners.
Yeah.
Like I get a lot more people, just Japanese people, speaking to me in English in passing when I'm like walking somewhere. And I'm like, that never used to happen. There's this like weird, almost like
white boy.
Yeah, it's like white boy. There's like this weird increase of stranger friendliness, but still quite awkward.
Yeah.
If you compare it to like say America, but I feel it's definitely gotten a lot more. They're a lot more comfortable now because I feel that they're just more used to it now.
Right.
Which is I guess a good thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I already pulled one out, so I just
Go for it.
Seasonal menu items, not limited to just konbini.
I hate them.
Yeah, I feel
Did you used to like them?
No.
It was cool discovering it. Where you're like, ooh, there's this exciting thing, and it's like, ooh, it's springtime. What do we have to look forward to in springtime? A bunch of like fucking Sakura stuff.
Yay!
And I'm like, ooh, when you first move here, there is that like new kind of like new feeling of just discovering a bunch of shit. And nowadays, I'm like, if I like something, I'm just like, why do I have to wait one time of a year to just to get this specific thing?
Really? I feel like I'd never really care for much of any of them. Like Sakura it's just such a whatever. It doesn't taste like anything. Sakura is shit. Okay, it's not a good flavor. Yeah. And they spend like 3 months making everything taste like it.
Yeah.
And then like you said, maybe the stuff you do like is gone.
Yeah.
And like some of the stuff they choose, I'm like, okay. It's like suddenly in winter everything becomes chestnut flavored, and you're like, okay. I like chestnuts too. Not everything needs to be chestnut flavor. Let's fucking hold up.
Yeah, or October is always like pumpkin flavored. Right?
Always pumpkin.
Yeah.
And pumpkin's a great flavor.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be always the main flavor.
Yeah.
Pumpkin is not a main... Let's be honest. No one's ever thought pumpkin's the main character. It really shouldn't be the main character. At best, it's an accompaniment to a better flavor.
Yeah, true. I just have every time there's like a seasonal thing where I'm actually like, oh, I kind of fuck with that.
Yeah.
I just grow no attachment to it anymore because I'm like, I know in a couple weeks it's
gone.
gone.
It's gone.
Strawberries, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
good as a primary flavor. I like that they often do stuff like that. And I understand why that's a seasonal thing, but sometimes it's like you feel like they're making shit up. Like, like the whole, just like the whole pumpkin being around for that long. You're like, okay, well, I know it's not making up that it's in season, but like, why do we have to have this and only this?
Yeah. I'm like, stop promoting me pumpkin spice latte, Starbucks. I'm not fucking drinking it.
Yeah, and then you'll go to the Combini, and I'll say every single seasonal item is often so fucking mid.
It is mid.
It's like there's a reason why it's seasonal and it's not around. If it was that good, they would find a way to make it.
That's true. I feel like even the companies making it are just like, well, we might as well ride the train while it's running, and then once it starts derailing, we'll pull out on that shit.
If they made like $1 bajillion on some strawberry dessert, they would have that dessert around all year.
That's true.
100%. I never buy the seasonal stuff from like the Combini or like Starbucks. I'm like, just give me a fucking coffee.
Is there a seasonal anything you've discovered in Japan where you actually fuck with it? And you're like, damn, why did I have to get rid of that shit? Or is there just so many now that it's hard to remember?
Yeah, so many. Normally, what pisses me off is the ice cream.
Oh my god, they have the worst ice cream flavors in the world in Japan. It's like
no. There's
insufferable.
Yeah, there's one time, maybe one out of like 100 times of the Combini where there's like finally a flavor I can fuck with.
Yeah.
Next time I'm there, gone. It's like, fuck. Can we just can we stop like cycling through different flavors of ice cream except for fucking vanilla and just
I don't need every flavor of ice cream to be some kind of like American monstrosity of sugar. Like I don't. But have a little bit of them for fuck's sake. Like, why does every ice cream flavor, like every single place in Japan you go will be milk, matcha, and maybe a mix or chocolate. And it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so vanilla was never a choice. The fuck? Okay, first of all, vanilla is the best flavor and it should always be available.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that. But then like at
Isn't that
best,
just milk? Isn't that just milk?
Milk with vanilla
Isn't that
pods.
It's
just
basically milk.
With vanilla pods.
Yeah.
But and then I'll be like, our new seasonal flavor, gonna change ice cream forever. Fucking sweet potato. You're like, okay, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's not bad, but sometimes you just want a fucking double chocolate chip, fucking cholesterol stopping.
Just let me be a fat foreigner.
It's ice cream. I don't want to be eating healthy. Why?
Okay, hot take.
Like pumpkin. Fucking so much pumpkin ice cream.
Okay, actually, sweet potato is worse than pumpkin.
Sweet potato is such a ass.
Hot take. I do not fuck with sweet potato.
Oh my god, yes.
I do not understand the craze that Japan has for sweet potato.
And everything is fucking sweet potato.
Anytime I see anything sweet potato,
it's so mid.
I'm like, I don't mind it as like the fucking sweet potato when you're eating it like on
sweet potato. Sweet potato fries.
Sweet potato is great. Sweet potato flavored things. I'm like, can we stop with this? Can we stop?
It's always like so artificial as well.
Yeah.
It just doesn't taste good at all. And then the ice cream looks radioactive purple, and you're like, this is just like, okay, like for fuck's sake, like I don't need the Baskin Robbins Oreo milkshake level of like richness.
Yeah,
just one. Would a singular,
just a variation.
Would a singular like brownie in the ice cream once, or just one like nut, like a macadamia nut ice cream?
Just give me a nut,
like just a nut.
Like when I went to LA recently, like I always go to like the ice cream places with Lud, and it makes me cry that we don't have any of these flavors. They'll have like brown almond sugar. They'll have like fucking pistachios with like the crumbs in there mixed with some other flavor. They'll have like caramel with a bit of like hard salted bits. It's phenomenal engineering masterclasses of ice cream flavors. And suddenly in Japan, you get a plop of this radioactive purple dollop, and you're like, "This is sad." And you lick it, and it tastes just like cold milk with a light flavoring.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, that's why, like, it's sad. The reality of it is that the best quote unquote ice cream places in Japan is just Baskin Robbins. All the Japanese people just go to Baskin Robbins
because you actually get those flavors.
Yeah, because you actually get like the variants of flavors.
Road. Oh, I love Rocky Road.
Yeah, you actually get like a variance of flavors, and then everywhere else is like maybe 4 flavors at most.
But I get it because you don't always want like a fucking cookie dough
heavy ass.
I get it, and I've been to a lot of places in Hokkaido where it's like an ice cream shop, and they'll have like 15 flavors, and they'll actually like do some good stuff. But most places in Tokyo don't have a lot of flavors.
Yeah.
Unless
That's why Hokkaido's goated.
Yeah, okay.
That's why Hokkaido is goated.
I feel like there's not a lot of shops here in Tokyo that do just ice cream and like have a large selection. They're often
it's basically Baskin Robbins, like you said.
there's a couple of
there's a couple of local
what are they
ones.
called?
Yeah.
Gelaterias?
Gelato places.
Gelaterias? I don't know what they're called. A couple of them that I actually quite like because I feel like they do it right. But if you ever go to a place in Japan where they don't, like, they're not just an ice cream place, they'll often just have like 3 flavors and they're always the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say it, I think matcha as an ice cream flavor fucking sucks. It's just so bitter.
Nah, you had me and you lost me. You had me and you lost me.
I'm saying
you
it.
had me and you lost me.
Okay,
man.
I'll be honest, I just don't like matcha.
Yeah, I knew you just
Yeah.
don't. You just don't like matcha.
But what they do is they take the bitterness of matcha, add a bunch of sugar to it, and then it just tastes like whatever now. Because you haven't decided to be bitter. You want to appease the masses. So you've added a bunch of sweetener to it, and now it tastes like nothing. And you've ruined the milk.
I fuck with the heavy.
I like
Fuck
it.
you guys. I hate you.
You know,
if I have a limited quantity of ice cream flavors, but I really am just craving for like a soft serve or something, and I'm just like, just give me the matcha.
However,
yeah, it's like that. It's just like that nice middle ground, you know.
Okay.
It's not too heavy.
Because sometimes you get
but-
the matcha flavored ice cream where it's actually not too sweet.
Yeah.
And they actually leave
I
a
wish
little
it was
bit of the
like
bitterness
Yeah,
in
I
it.
wish it
Yeah.
was bitter because
Yeah.
then I would be more
You would like
enjoyable.
that.
No, because like most matcha things I eat aren't too sweet. It's just that nice middle ground. It's not too heavy, not too light, not too sweet, not too
The greatest
bitter.
compliment an Asian
Yeah.
can give, not too sweet.
I thought I had like real matcha before. And then when I did this video with Chris, the renting the castle, we did like a whole tea ceremony thing where I tried real matcha, and I was like, holy fuck. It was so bitter.
Yeah, boys bitter
Yeah.
as fuck.
So bitter.
Yeah. It's like medicine.
And I feel like all these places, they're like, we have real matcha. It's like, dude, none of them taste like this. None of them taste even close
That's
to
the
what,
biggest red flag. If you go anywhere where they say in English we have real matcha, 99% of the time it's not real matcha.
If it isn't like, if when you suck it and you don't immediately go, it's
Yes.
not real matcha.
Yeah, true.
It needs to be so fucking bitter. And one thing I think you'll agree with me is the only time seasonal menu items are goated is when you go to like kind of a nice restaurant and they'll be like, look, it's the seasonal fish, it's the seasonal cut or something. Oh yeah. I love it when I go to sushi places.
even conveyor belt sushi places,
Yeah, when
where
they have
they have
seasonal
like
fish, phenomenal.
it's insane that you can go to like a cheap ass conveyor belt sushi and they're like, here's a seasonal fish catch of the day. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? I'm paying like $1 a plate.
Mm-hmm.
So you got,
but
like-
we only have 20 plates, so you better be quick.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
shit,
And
good
like,
shit.
they always go so fucking
good.
hard.
That is true. Seasonal fish is always goated in Japan.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Shopify.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roofs like nonsense or nonsense or Joey, what are you wearing right there?
Oh, this is nonsense actually.
Selling like hotcakes.
But do people actually think about the business that goes behind the business?
Unfortunately not. All they see is the front and they don't realize just how difficult selling online actually is. But thankfully, there's Shopify.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not so secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in the store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Remember guys, businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify.
So what are you waiting for, boys? Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that we use over here at Nonsense. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/trash, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/trash to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/trash. Back to the episode. All right. Let's see. I already know the answer to this one. Japanese banks.
Fuck them. They gotta go. They
gotta go.
They gotta go. They gotta go.
Anarchist. Yeah, I mean, I think we did get very unlucky though. We did get stuck with probably the notoriously most unflexible bank.
True.
If you live in Japan, you know the one that we're probably talking about.
Yep.
The right name, because don't get
In trouble.
Don't get in trouble. But yeah, that bank that we got stuck with in particular is the worst one.
Yep.
And then when I would ask people, like, why does anyone use this bank? They'd be like, oh, it's old,
Yeah.
it's historical.
Yeah.
I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah, it is archaic.
Historical. There are some things we should not be using that are historical. We don't use like historical safety ropes. We change them because we need to use them all the time.
The guillotine is historical.
Yeah.
We don't fucking use that anymore.
The rusted bridge. We don't use that. We update it. We need to change these things.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I mentioned like a couple of months ago, I swapped bank to a much more modern bank.
Yep.
It's definitely been a lot easier. Like it's definitely nowhere near as good as my UK bank. But it's a lot better.
Even the best in Japan still has a long way to go.
Well, so I every time in Japan when you get your visa renewed, you have to normally fill out a bunch of stuff in the mail. At least with our old bank, you have to fill it out in the mail, or you can go in person to get them to unfreeze your bank account.
Yep.
The new bank I joined online.
Yep.
You do it online, baby. Super easy.
Yep.
I was like, thank God, I live in the future.
Yeah.
So Garnt, stop putting it off. Join my fucking bank. Stop wasting time.
I know.
Every single time you fill out a form, Garnt, or you write a letter, you are wasting time you could be having with a good bank.
Exactly.
God fucking
Visits to the bank do not need to be half a day. It's just absurd.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, that was a lot. Kabukicho.
I think I'm the only one who really goes there out of us three, though.
I don't even remember the last time I went to Kabukicho.
Look, Kabukicho's pretty bad, but there are a lot of really good places there. Problem is, how the fuck do you figure that out?
Yeah.
It's word of mouth and trial and error a lot of the time.
Yep.
Again, Kabukicho's an amazing place. As a tourist, if you don't know anyone, you probably will just get scammed and taken to the worst places possible.
How is it now though? Because I'm sure I haven't been in a long time, and you've obviously been a lot more than I have. How is it now with the influx of foreigners?
I mean, it's like ground level, pretty bad.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable. But like you mentioned Hanbei. There's 2 Hanbeis in Kabukicho.
Oh, okay.
And they're on like the 4th and the 5th floor of different buildings.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Hanbei's an amazing spot.
Yeah.
Those Hanbeis are large, have enough room for big groups, and they're a great place to go. How the fuck would you know to go there if you don't know someone who told you to go there? Because the sign looks old and it's all in kanji. It doesn't look appealing on the sign. And other places, they got like, we got girls, we got fucking light shows, we got ping pong, like we got drinks. It's like, yeah, of course you're going to go into the place that it looks a way more inviting.
Yes.
And that's, as a tourist, because it's how it is. Like if I go anywhere, I'm the same. I'm not gonna go up to the 7th floor of a random building with a bunch of Japanese characters I can't read.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think again, there's some amazing spots in Kabukicho, and I think it's a great night out. I just think if you can try and find someone who knows a little bit about Japan to maybe give you a little bit of a guidance, because it really is make or break. Because you can have easily the worst night you'll have in Japan in Kabukicho if you don't know anything to go off of.
Yeah.
Normally, the normal rule is if there's a tout telling you to go in there, don't go in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's globally.
Yeah.
I feel like.
People think
do you go to
people let their guard down.
Not too often. Mostly, most of the time, it's only when I have a friend visiting and they're like, "Yeah, can I go to Golden Guy?" And that's
like, okay.
That's basically it, and that's its own little bubble kind of thing.
I got to tell a story. Just so I was showing a streamer friend around, and it was a Saturday in Golden Guy.
Oh fuck!
And they wanted to go Golden Guy, so I was like, "All right, cool."
Yeah.
And there was like a group of 12 of them, but I was showing around one of the group of 12.
Yeah.
And I was walking. There's this Japanese guy leaning out of a window in one of the buildings in Golden Guy, and I just shouted at him like, "Hey, can you fit?" It's all in Japanese. "Hey, can 2 come in?" And he looks at me. He goes, "Do you speak Japanese?" And I go, "Yeah, I speak Japanese." He's like, "Okay, come in. Go up the stairs." And so I go into this bar. I cannot see the stairs immediately. Right. As I go right to the back of the store, there's basically a ladder.
Yeah.
And I climb up the ladder, and as I'm about to get off the ladder, he's like, "Oh, kutsu wa dame." Like, don't wear your shoes. I'm like, I'm on a ladder, bro. How do you think I'm gonna what? So I finally take it off, and I look in. And I'm like, oh my god, it's like the dingiest, rattiest half living room I've ever seen. It's literally like what I imagine happens to like the old forgotten IKEA stock. It's like the most disgusting couches and like a bean bag, and the walls are falling apart, and it's just him. And I was like, oh. Okay. He's like, yeah, sit down. So he's like, yeah, so the whole point of the bar is you got to talk to me. Here's what he said. I was like, okay.
Was this like a side quest?
Yeah.
You cannot get the drinks until you fill out these.
And like, I was like looking in the corner, and there's just a giant like hole, like a cut, maybe like just like here to here.
Yeah.
Hole that leads down to the next bar. No like railing and no ledge, and just like you easily just drop stuff down.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
And it's just so awkward. We have to keep like talking to him, and I'm trying to translate for my friend, and he never lets me translate. So I'm trying to like catch her up on the conversation, but he won't let me translate. It was very awkward. And he poured me the most strongest fucking drink ever. Of like, imagine like it's like this cup. He pours like this much, like 25% sochu, and then like this much green tea. And it's so fucking hard to drink. And it's hard, and the guy's nice, but it's really awkward.
Yeah.
Everything about it is just awkward. And then I'm just trying to finish this drink so I can go. And then I asked for the bill, and he's like, it's 4,000 yen. And I was like, huh? What was that? What was that increase? One drink each? 4,000 yen? Brother. I was like, you know what? I'll pay it. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So bizarre. So bizarre.
Jesus.
You got finessed.
Yeah.
You
You definitely
finessed me. 4,000 yen.
4,000 yen.
Insane moves. But yeah, it's weird. Anyway, just thought.
How did your friend take it?
They were introverted, so it was hell. I think it was hell for
They
them.
didn't even come in for help. Like,
No,
we'll leave it
no.
up to you.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, I'd love to see Pete just own this place. In my head, I was like, Pete would do a masterclass show right now, how to manage this guy.
Yeah, Pete goes in
Yeah.
there once, and the next time you go in, it's like brand new walls and furniture and shit like that. He's
He's
just like,
the final boss.
Yeah.
He just has a talent of just getting the conversation under control. I kept trying to get it in my pace so I could.
Yeah.
But the guy, every time I was trying to like look away for a second, he'd ask me something else.
Damn.
So anyway.
So watch out for that, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a short segment, so I just picked another random one.
Go for it.
Fruit in Japan.
Oh, man.
I don't get it much.
You don't get it much?
I
Still don't get it
get
much?
a banana from a konbini. And that's about it.
I've been trying to make it a habit a lot more to get fruit just because I missed eating
I'm
it.
a veg fan.
Yeah.
You're a veg fan?
Veg ride or die.
Yeah.
Because you hate sugar. You're just like,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Ew, sweet.
That's good though, because like I feel like it's bad to have a lot of sugar, but not in fruit, obviously. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
no,
very-
that's the good
Yeah,
sugar.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
outside of that, I mean.
I made it a habit now after gym to go to, because there's like a supermarket right next to it, to just be like, oh, I'll just grab like some, because right now it's like, strawberries are in season. So
True.
like,
Yeah.
you get like a pack of strawberries that are really nice, or like some mandarins, or, an apple every now and then.
I mean, I just tried to not snack at all. So I just tried to keep doing
Yeah,
it.
there are some days though where I'm just like, fuck, man.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
like
I said that and I had a
3
muffin
PM.
before this.
Yeah.
I failed.
That's a fucking lie.
It's like it's
failed.
like 3:30 and I'm like, it's too early for dinner.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'll just like eat a mandarin.
It's because
Yeah.
I left myself leftovers today, and I left myself too little leftovers.
Okay.
Yeah, fair.
One of those awkward ones. Yeah, like to me, I remember we complained about like the fruit prices in Japan when we just first moved here, and I still stand by that.
Pretty bad.
They are pretty bad, and I understand now after living here for 5 years why they are that expensive.
Yeah.
Because in general, you go to Japan and you buy fruits. The best analogy I can give is that maybe you go to Tesco's and you buy a packet of strawberries, right? Maybe one or two of those strawberries in that entire pack will be that S-tier strawberry.
Yeah.
That you're searching for, and you're like, oh, okay, that is a strawberry. Everything else is like variation from like A to fucking D tier.
Yeah.
When you buy fruit in Japan, you're basically guaranteeing that every one of those fruits in that packet is that guaranteed like S-tier gacha roll.
I'd rather just be more affordable though.
Yeah. So what I would like...
Fruit is literally pay to win in
Yeah,
Japan.
no, it is pay to win in Japan. What I would like is there to be a free-to-play option in Japan. You know, we got the guaranteed S tiers, but I would like it in Japan if there was a cheaper version.
Yeah. Although I will say now that I have experienced kind of everything from like the cheapest option at a supermarket, which, compared to the rest of the world or a lot of places in the world, still way more expensive than usual, all the way up to like, the ultra rare variant of like fruits. And man, just the ultra rare shit, not worth it.
No.
Okay,
at all.
Never.
It is not worth it, but it is like sometimes it's like a fucking one of a kind experience. I don't know. I had one mango that changed my fucking life.
Really? I've had like quite a few variants of like super expensive fruit. Some of them where it's just like, okay, it's a little bit more expensive than the usual.
Yeah.
And then there are just some where it's like, oh, I'm paying literally hundreds of dollars for this.
Yeah,
one
it's
piece of fruit.
ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
not worth it.
And I'm just like, bro, it's not
like-
worth it.
when you compare it to like veg, it's so cheap here.
Yeah.
Vegetables are so fucking cheap here. You're like, just grow more. If it's expensive, just fucking grow more.
True.
But clearly there's not like as much of a demand for that as say like a daikon or something. Which you can
Well,
get
I think
1
it's
million.
that whole like gift giving culture in Japan
Yeah,
where it's like
'cause
the easiest thing is fruit.
I've never actually bought like $100 fruits. I've only eaten what was like given to me, which is probably why I don't mind the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
'Cause
when it's a present, you're like, wait, what? I remember. So I think like
you got to pull on someone else's whale account.
yeah, because like Meilyne gifted me these like I think like mangoes.
Yeah.
And you know, I think like that. I think they're like Miyazaki mangoes or something. You know, this like
the super top tier ones,
super
yeah.
top tier mangoes that are only available in certain periods of the year. And you know what Meilyne's like. She's
I know.
Yo,
It's grass fed.
actually, is grass-fed mango? It's free range as well.
Free-range mango.
Yeah, free range mango.
They whisper every night to
Yeah,
them.
we
And
let
I'm
them run
like-
around in the field.
And I'm like, Meilyne, you know I'm Thai, right? You're gifting me a mango? Seriously? Like, I am Thai. We eat mangoes all of the fucking time. And she's like, no, just try it. I'm not gonna lie, I put it off. You know, I was like, yeah, whatever. Meilyne literally texts me on like a few days later being like, this is the last day they will be this delicious. You need to eat them today.
Yeah.
You need to eat them now.
Yeah.
Right? Or they will go to waste. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll do it just to because I was waiting for like maybe there's like some guests around, I can cut them up. But I'm like, okay, if my boss is telling me I gotta eat them today, I'm just gonna go fucking eat them today. Whatever. So I don't even cut this up like neatly or whatever. My mum, or anytime you go in Thailand, you'd cut it up neatly, you'd like slice it up, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right.
Inside out.
I just cut off a piece, and I remember like cutting off a piece and taking a bite. I have never had so much juice just burst into my mouth before.
Oh, yeah?
From a fruit.
Okay, there we go.
Have you read
From a man?
Have you read Toriko?
Of course.
So you know in one of those early chapters where they get like the eternal fruit, where
Yeah,
where you just eat it and then you just like completely like you can eat it like forever and
Yeah.
it just keeps like going on and on.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. I took one bite and so much juice burst out. I'm like, Jesus Christ! It was like a fucking waterfall in my mouth, and it was like I have never gone full primal on a fruit before. This shit unlocked some fucking caveman part of my brain. Yeah. Literally, I thought I'd be like a civilized guy cutting up this mango. I took one bite of this mango, and I just went rah, rah, rah. like I had to like clean up the floor afterwards.
How much
Oh my
does
God.
mangoes cost for one?
I have no idea.
The
If
Miyazaki
you-
mangoes,
if you guess,
they're
if you
probably
guess.
like 3,000-4,000 yen for one.
Holy
Probably
fuck.
$50 or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember I bought like Okayama grapes, which are
Yeah,
pretty
around
famous.
5,000 yen for two.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I bought like Okayama grapes, which were like fucking 5,000 yen for like a box of grapes, in
Yeah.
a small, like plastic-sized box. And I remember trying it, and I was like, "It's too juicy." It was genuinely just juice.
Too juicy.
Yeah, I was like, I realized I was like, there's like kind
You're
of
the only one who's ever complained about that.
normal size grapes.
Yeah.
The juice to skin ratio is perfect.
Yeah.
Because you get like something chewy and it's not too much. But I
Yeah.
bit into this Okayama grape and it was like a fucking fire hose had been let off in my mouth. I was like, this is ridiculous. Who needs this?
People who love juice. People who like fruit.
Like I was like,
Connor.
just make fucking wine out of these things. That'd be fire. But like to eat, I need a lot of skin. I need the skin. That's the best part.
No. It's the balance. It's
Yeah.
the balance.
Exactly. And the balance was all off.
It's the balance. The skin is like that little bit of it takes the edge off the sweetness.
You can never have
just a
too
little
much
bit.
of a good thing.
Yeah.
But too much juice is not. It's not the good thing. It's the skins that's the good thing.
No, but like, were the grapes like big?
Huge.
Yeah, so there should be more skin to balance
Yeah,
out.
but the
like,
ratio
juice.
of like, because think about it, Garnt, the area is getting slightly larger, but the volume has increased a lot of juice.
So you just like small grapes.
I like normal size grapes.
Yeah, right.
The giant, like they were like,
You're talking about like the Kyoho grapes,
they're like the size
right?
of like Cadbury cream eggs. These fucking
Yeah, yeah,
grapes.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. I've seen
they-
those. I've
they
never
look
tried
amazing.
them. Yeah, they look
I would
great.
love
I've
I
never
would
tried
love
them.
to
I'm
try
going for a piss. All this talk
I-
about juice.
I
wanna hear
fucking
it.
love grapes.
Yeah.
Grapes, S tier fruit, man.
Normal size grapes.
No. Every size grape, S tier.
Have you tried
S
those
tier.
like tiny grapes?
No.
There's yeah, no, not raisins. I've tried. Japan has this like particular. It's not even a brand because they're actually quite cheap. My grandma really likes them. They're like these really, really tiny grapes. They're like the size of sultanas, literally. Yeah. Those ones there. What the fuck are they called? No, not Delaware grapes. Oh yeah, maybe they are. I don't know.
Oh, those ones?
Yeah, but they're tiny. They're so much smaller than the regular grapes.
I don't like them.
I thought I wouldn't like them at first either.
Yeah.
But they're fucking awesome. Because it's the perfect, again, skin to juice ratio.
It's like, to me, when grapes are that small, how'd you eat them?
Just like pick them off and pop them in. Like you're eating blueberries or like raspberries. You just like pop them in one at a time.
Because in my mind, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, they're just like too small, so I'd have to like pick like 3 at a time or pick like 4 at a time to get like a decent like
you can do like the
flavorful.
You can do like the Roman fucking empress thing where you just like that as well. If you want, you'll probably get a good amount.
Yeah, I don't know. Grapes are like just that perfect fruit-sized snack. And I would love to try one of is that the one that Connor had? One of those fucking
the Kyohol grapes,
big fat ones.
Yeah,
bro.
I've always seen these in supermarkets, and I'm just like, look at the size of those boys. God damn, look at that. But these are the ones. Wait, because like, are these the ones where you have to peel the skin off? Because there's some grapes in Japan where they actually encourage
the
you.
skin is so thick.
Yeah,
that they just encourage you to peel the skin off.
Just peel the skin off and just eat it. Which goes against every fiber of my being because I'm like, no. Grapes should be a thing where you can just pick it off and then you pop it in your mouth.
Do you know the problem with grapes? The big problem with grapes? You can never start like a vine and then not finish the entire thing. You know what I mean? Like,
pick the appropriate vine.
Yeah, right.
No, sometimes you just have like.
You can also split vines, you know.
No.
You can
try splitting the vine and then you finish the vine and you're just like. More right there. I'll just take one. I'll just take one.
What? Raisins on the vine. That's so fucking fire.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, because sometimes they, when you get raisins, they normally like take them off and then dry them out.
Yeah.
When they dry them on the vine, peak flavor.
I've never had that.
I've never had that either.
You have had that.
What do you mean?
I know a place where we've had it.
When?
I'll tell you after.
What?
It's good. It's good. You'll know what I'm talking about.
I've had raisins.
You've had raisins on the vine, Jay.
On the vine?
You've had raisins on the vine, Jay. You've had raisins.
Has Garnt had raisins?
Garnt has certainly had raisins on the vine. It's a place we go to.
How do you know and we don't know?
Because it must not have been a memorable experience for you.
I would remember.
I didn't realize it was a life-changing experience for only me. I thought we all... raisins on the vine, boys.
What is it? What improvement does it bring? What improvement does it bring?
When you take it off the vine, boom, it's running out of life force. It's running out of life.
I forgot he's on muffin mode right now, so he's gonna start saying some shit where he's just like, what?
I don't know. I just feel like mentally I'm like, I don't know. You feel like some kind of like Roman king pulling a raisin off the vine.
I know. I understand if it's grapes.
No. Raisins off the vine.
Were you doing like this shit?
Yeah, I would. Oh, yeah.
Oh, raisins on the vine. The only way to eat raisins.
Are we done with this fruit conversation?
Yeah.
Fruit isn't that good anyway.
Yes, it is.
I love fruit.
Yes, it is.
Vegetables gap fruit any day of the week.
No, it doesn't.
It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game.
Yes,
different ball game.
What's the top tier vegetable?
All of them.
You can't just say that.
Brussels sprouts, easy S tier.
No, you
broccoli,
need to cook.
Easy S tier.
Brussels sprouts need to be cooked in a very specific way to be appreciated. Onions, okay, onions are top tier.
Yeah, I saw the cogs in your head there for a brief moment, thinking how you could say that onions were not an S tier.
Onions are right.
Okay, yeah,
they need to be cooked though. The problem with vegetables is that most of them need to be cooked for me to appreciate them.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
I don't want to be eating a fucking raw carrot. I can't like,
Why not?
Yeah, fuck. I used to do that.
Yeah, bro.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, they sell it at the combini, the vegetable sticks.
Get a little hummus in that bitch too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's like celery sticks or like cucumber sticks. They're fucking great.
I got to cook my vegetables.
Celery sticks are fire.
Celery sticks are bomb.
Celery sticks with ranch.
So good. This episode is sponsored by Factor.
Ready to optimize your nutrition this year?
Hell yeah!
Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that'll make eating well easy.
Ooh.
They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. And you can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals based on a randomized control clinical trial with Factor Keto. Results may vary depending on diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences. Yes, Garnt, 40 on the menu each week.
Oh my God.
It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto.
Factor helps you feel the best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-on. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and the convenience that you just can't beat. Finally, another reason to not cook, guys. Because I know you guys are not going to do it.
We also have a co-worker who told us about the chorizo and black bean queso fundido.
Ooh.
Said, I quote, queso fundido, more like queso fun to eat. Oh, I've had it in the US. It's great. I really like that I could just have a quick, healthy meal that tastes great.
Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/trashtaste50 off and use code trashtaste50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping.
Oh my God.
That's code trashtaste50 off at factormeals.com/trashtaste50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Get it now, get it now, get it now.
Back to the episode.
Okay, next one. I don't really know what to make of this one. Otakus.
Otakus was like out of date when we moved to Japan. Let alone what it
I mean,
is
there
now.
are otakus, but I feel like anime otakus, you don't, I mean, problem is, anime otakus don't leave their house, so you don't really see them.
Most otakus don't leave their house. The only ones who leave their house are the train otakus, and you don't want to fuck with those guys.
Yeah, they're like the mafia here. You don't fuck with the train otakus here.
Yeah, true. I mean, like, I don't know. Military otakus?
Yeah.
They're all right, I guess.
It's just, I feel like people in Japan tend to be a bit more obsessive than normal.
Yes.
So every single hobby you name has otakus.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the anime fans or anime otakus here have just shifted to being VTuber fans.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like
Maybe
that's...
they were always VTuber fans.
Yeah, so now we don't really call them otakus, they're just VTuber fans. Like that's it's true, right?
Just idol fans.
They're just called super chats now.
Yeah, like I otakus used to scoff at the idol fans for having such an inferior hobby.
It's like you're into real women?
And they've kind of become them now.
Yeah.
So they became the thing they hated.
One otaku that I currently very despise now is train otakus, the ones that actually go in front of the trains and take pictures.
That's what I'm saying. It's like those are the only otakus you see in the wild.
Yeah, train otakus are the worst.
Yeah, they are objectively the worst.
And they're like super like rude.
They're so rude.
Like do you dare walk in front of their camera by accident, you'll fucking hear it.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy because like the social skills are not there, but it's crazy how they have the confidence to shout you out.
Yeah,
and then you're like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" He's like, "Oh,"
and I'm like, "Bro, relax. This next train is coming in 2 minutes. You're fine."
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like since we don't really interact with otakus,
Also, we don't go to Akihabara anymore.
Not really. Not really.
Even then, when you go to Akihabara, I feel like you see way more foreigners.
It's
now
mostly
than-
foreigners.
Well, it's a lot of foreigners now, but
it used to be a bit more Japanese, but mostly all foreigners now.
Okay, I don't know who spelt this out, but it spelled it wrong. Global cuisines.
Global
I mean, it's
cuisines?
always getting better in Japan.
I feel like,
Give them more time.
True.
They get more taste.
I've definitely spent a lot of time after COVID just kind of finding a lot more, I guess, niche cuisines in Japan, because there's so many restaurants already in Japan, right?
Yeah.
And I've always just been curious, being like, oh, I wonder like if they have this particular like super niche cuisine. Like I made an effort to go to every single Hungarian restaurant in Tokyo. There's only
two.
There's only 3.
Oh, okay.
I've been to all 3 and only one of them was good. But the problem is it's so far away from my house where I'm just like, I'm not.
But it's always good to have those faraway places just in case you ever find yourself nearby. And you're like,
for sure.
You're like, and your friend's like, oh, there's nothing around here. You're like, I know a spot.
We got you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, Mudan, find a
Estonian place.
Estonian restaurant.
It was only like, that was run by 2 Japanese people who'd never been to Estonia.
Yes. That's so funny.
That's funny. It's funny to me when they like make a whole restaurant about a country they've never been to.
Yeah.
That feels crazy to me.
Like Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, I mean, like, surely you would have gone to the country just a little bit to pretend.
Can you imagine this the other way around? Like,
It'd be insane.
Like someone in America making
Fucking Tim from Wisconsin opens up his own sushi store.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Japan. That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. You could literally have like a white guy in like the UK who's lived in Japan, training on the best sushi chefs. We'd all be like, nah, he's white.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the question then. After 5 years of going to probably a fuckload of restaurants in Tokyo, because it's just so easy to do so, what is the best cuisine in Japan that is not Japanese?
Fuck, oh man.
If you
Like
had
consistently?
Probably Italian?
Yeah, probably Italian, just because I feel like it's generally affordable to make those dishes. So I think that a lot of people know how to make them.
There are a lot of Italian restaurants from every different price points, and I generally feel like they have the, out of every cuisine,
right? They get the
they got the core right, and they have their own twist on it, but still tastes fucking great.
And I think out of all the cuisines, I think like Italian cuisine has the highest peaks, but like mid-Italian food is often just passable. You're like, when you have an okay carbonara, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
You don't feel bad about it. When you have like an okay katsu, you're like,
yeah, that's true.
so much grease and like pork and it's done so like,
What's the Thai restaurants like in Japan, in your opinion?
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I like Thai food. I get a lot of Thai food.
there's a
here.
lot of Thai food
I would
places.
like them to have, because they always have like the same 5 dishes on every single Japanese menu.
Isn't that because like the Thai government like sponsors people who want to open restaurants outside of Thai and they force them to have certain things on the menu?
There are
like
certain
pad
things.
Thai.
There are certain things on the menu,
curry.
but I've noticed in Japan it's different from what's on in America and what's on in the UK. Like,
Really?
But everywhere has pad Thai. Pad Thai seems to be
everywhere has
of
pad
course.
Thai.
And green
Everywhere has
curry.
pad Thai. Everywhere has green curry. But in Japan, there are certain dishes that are way easier to find in Japan in every Thai restaurant than you can find in US restaurants.
Right.
Meanwhile, there are some dishes that I always get in US restaurants that are fucking impossible to get in Thai restaurants.
Yeah.
Like pad kimao, for example, is in like every US Thai restaurant, but
Which one's that one?
it's the drunken noodles.
Oh,
it's the
yeah,
drunken
yeah,
noodles.
yeah.
And yeah, it's super weird that it's almost like now that I've tried Thai cuisine from like around the world in terms of like going to different restaurants, it's weird seeing how every region has its own meta in terms of like what goes on the menu, and then everyone will agree on, okay, we're going to put all of these ones in this specific country. And
Wait, so what's a Thai dish that you most commonly see in Japan that you wouldn't see anywhere else?
khao man gai, which is kind of like chicken over rice.
Yeah.
It's like a very
It's really popular here.
Yeah, it's so popular here.
Yeah.
And it's very, very local. And actually, I thought quite niche.
Right.
I think anything rice-based from
Yeah.
Japan are like, I'm
Japan
down.
is like, it's got rice in it.
Say no
Put it
more.
on the menu.
Say no more. Say
And I'm
no
like,
more.
I see this shit everywhere here. And I'm like, I thought...
I mean, the Kalman guy here fucking slaps.
Yeah.
Whenever I see the pictures of this, I never order it because I always think it looks bland.
Oh no, I get this quite often actually.
Really?
It's really good.
It's not the best Thai food. It's a good comfort food, which
Yeah.
is why
Right.
I was very surprised to see it here, because compared to like other Thai foods, this one's a little bit lighter on the palate.
Yeah. If I'm not too hungry, but I'm in the mood for Thai, I always go to Kalman.
Ever since Garnt showed me when we were in Thailand Thai sausage,
Yeah.
I found one place that does Thai sausage.
Oh,
fuck
really?
yeah.
And I always order like 2 portions.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
full sausage cut up. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so
Thai
spicy.
sauce- Thai
that shit was
sausage
so
is great.
good.
You know what food I've actually been consistently disappointed by in Japan?
Yeah.
Indian food.
Really?
There's a lot of bad Indian food places I feel like in Japan. I don't know if that's my British palate talking, but there's a couple of spots I really, really like.
Yeah.
Because I always end up like fucking dying on the toilet, and that's normally a good sign with Indian food.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of places that I'm like, dude, just butter curry, is that it? You got nothing else in there?
I mean, I mostly now go to like places that are labeled as like Nepalese restaurants.
Yeah,
because there's a lot
of them are run
of
by
those
Nepalese.
in Japan. And yeah, I think I've had a better time with like curry-based stuff at Nepalese restaurants than I have like actual Indian restaurants.
Burgers are also pretty generally bad here, I'd say.
Yeah.
You have to really find a spot. There is a lot of good spots, but there are a lot of bad spots too.
But when you find that good spot, it's
pretty
like
fire. It's
it's
pretty fire.
as good as.
It's because
back
Japan's
home.
just obsessed with like all the chains when it comes to burgers.
Yeah.
I think we'll all agree on this one. I think we only all like 1 or 2 Mexican restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like one.
I know one other one which I want to take you guys to as well, but that one is like the main one.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
even start eating Mexican food until I moved out of the UK.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Me
it's
too, me too.
something that unless like it was obviously super popular in America, but in the places of the world I went to, it's always consistently.
Actually, I did find one recently in Harajuku that was really good. In the back streets of Harajuku. It used to be a taco truck. But then I guess it got so popular that they bought an actual like restaurant space in Harajuku now, and it's a proper. It's kind of hidden away, but it's really good.
Chili's, not Chili's.
Welcome to Chili's.
Yeah. I think there's one called Chili's in Shibuya that our Mexican friend recommended to me. It was really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was disgustingly full afterwards. If I'm not disgustingly full, it's not good Mexican.
Yeah.
Like, and I shouldn't have to overorder.
Yes.
Like, I should have my normal ass portion, and it should just be like fucking. Yeah, this one.
Chili's Mexican girl?
We've been here.
We've been there.
Yeah, this place is fire.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, this is in Harajuku.
Yeah.
I think it's on the streets of Harajuku.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Oh, okay.
I don't go there often because I'm rarely in Harajuku, but very good. Very good Mexican food.
Do you know one thing that I've noticed after living 5 years in Japan? I actually, the more years I live here, the less Japanese food I eat.
Yeah.
I know why though.
Why?
It doesn't deliver well.
Oh.
That's not the reason for me. Actually, I used to eat Japanese food like every single day, and then now that I've lived here for 5 years, I'm like, Japanese cuisine, fucking great. But sometimes I just need a stronger flavor profile. There's only so many times when I can just appreciate, the natural flavors of things and the high class ingredients. Sometimes just put some spice on that shit, please.
You know what I've recently realized? I went to this French restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And it was really popular. And I was sitting in there and I was eating this food, and I'm like, this is good. It's good. It just doesn't taste French.
Right.
And I'm eating it all, and I'm sitting and I'm like, I think it hit me. I was like, it's like someone who liked French food and then kind of adapted it to the Japanese palate by like removing a lot of the really heavy flavors and making it like really subdued. And I was like, that must be why everyone here is Japanese. Because when I go to like a good French restaurant, I'll see other French people.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it'll be like the classic French flavors that they'll really use and use quite heavily. A lot of butter, a lot of garlic. Whereas this one was like a lot more, I'd say, like on the Japanese side.
Right.
Yeah. And so I've noticed that they do this a lot with certain restaurants. They'll make it more Japanese, aka kind of maybe focusing less on really intense flavors and also focusing more on the ingredients.
Yeah, that's what I had with like the 2 out of the 3 Hungarian restaurants I went to, was that like it looked and smelled like Hungarian food, but then the moment I put it in my mouth, I was like, there's no flavor.
Yeah.
Or there's way less flavor. And it's like, it's clearly catered more towards the Japanese market where they're like, they want more of the subtleties of flavors. But I'm like, that goes against Eastern European food. Like, Eastern European food should be heavy and giga flavorful.
Dude, I actually had a cool memory. Every time I go get my hair cut, they have this tablet in front of me that just plays ads.
Right.
Like I'm like a fucking like Subway service distributor. But they'll always play these ads for these like recipes.
Right.
For Japanese recipes.
Okay.
And it is like, I'm like screaming into the void watching these recipes as they make the most blandest shit of all. I'm British and I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Like, I saw one and it was basically just, what was it? It was a fucking monstrosity. It was disgusting looking. It was like, they had sausages. They boiled these gross looking sausages, poked holes in them with a fork, and then put spaghetti in the sausages and like, had it go through.
I've seen that.
And then they boiled the spaghetti with the sausages. And then they put like they got like, I don't know what it was, some kind of nori or something to put a face on the thing. And I was like, and then they just eat the spaghetti with the sausages with no sauce. And I was like, I was like,
You know.
At least it had some tomato sauce.
Yeah.
It would be somewhat passable. But I was like, I'm losing it.
I'm sure
this is like a recipe.
I'm sure that's just some shit to like, please, to make it so that like your kids are like, oh yeah, we have like the funky little fucking sausage spaghetti.
But then they would have like ones that like looked like they would only fucking use like daikon, I swear, as any flavoring. And I was like, you put some soy sauce in it, please.
You know what's a quintessential Japanese dish? That's not even Japanese, but it's like a Japanified dish that I see Japanese people fucking loving it everywhere. And I've had it so many times and I just never understood it. Tarako spaghetti.
I have
ever understand. I
Get
love
that shit out of here,
I
please.
love. Okay, look.
Do you want to explain what that is in English?
Yeah, so tarako is like it's salmon roe, right?
Yeah, salmon roe.
Yeah, so it's salmon roe. Sometimes you can have so there's two versions. There's mentaiko and
Oh
then
my
there's
God, I love
tarako.
mentaiko.
They're both kind of the same thing, except mentaiko is usually sorry.
They love it.
Yeah,
They love
tarako
it.
is like a little bit more
Yeah.
of the spicier ones, right? But tarako and mentaiko spaghetti, it's as the name suggests, you get some fucking spaghetti. You put some tarako in it,
Yeah. I'm
maybe
sorry,
a little bit of soy sauce,
like-
and then
like,
that's
go,
it.
Like go to
It's
the
so bad. It's
Like,
so bad.
This is one of the few Japanese dishes where I'm like, wow, this makes British food look appetizing.
And look, to preface, I
Look at
like
that shit, man.
To
Oh.
preface, I like tarako
like
if it's
salmon
like
roe too.
by
Yeah.
itself and
Yeah.
you like you
But
eat
on
it directly.
spaghetti?
But on spaghetti, I'm like, bro, give me some fucking flavor, please. Give
Makes me
me
so mad.
Yeah, if I'm gonna eat spaghetti anything, I'm having the most like flavorful fat ass fucking
yeah.
like bolognese or like something, you know?
I swear, whenever you go to an Italian place, and they're always like, today's pasta, and it's always this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
I'm like, why? No,
Just,
no one's
do you
ordering
know-
this.
You have tomatoes in this country. Just use them. Use them.
Give me some sauce, bro.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I've never understood the hype of this.
Yeah.
British man wants flavor. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Just some seasoning. And I always want like fucking pepper, and I gotta fight to get pepper on fucking
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's
They don't have if they don't immediately have pepper, I'm like, why? Give me some goddamn pepper.
I don't know. Okay, when you go to yakitori, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the tare version
No,
or
it's gonna
you-
be salt. Salt.
Really?
Salt.
Oh my god.
Tare, you're ruining it all. Only sukune.
Why?
Only sukune should be tare.
No.
Yes.
No.
You think negima should be tare?
I think negima.
No.
I can have both, man. Give me like,
Bro, I took you to my spot, Garnt. We
Okay,
did. We
it
had
was good.
salt. We
It
had
was
salt
good.
only.
Yeah.
That's why, because the chicken's fire.
the chicken is.
If
fire.
I go to Torikuzoku, yeah, I'll have tare. 'Cause honestly, I don't want to taste the chicken. I want to taste. I want to taste the texture and the sauce.
But sometimes you just want the fucking sauce, and that I guess like that's the perfect analogy.
He thinks that yakitori should always be tare.
No, not always tare, but I definitely prefer the tare version.
Aw.
I can't have like
should
like
be salt.
I can't have like 3-4 sticks in a row of just salt. I can't.
What
I
the
like.
it's salt's the
I'm
seasoning.
I'm a fence sitter. I usually get both half, but if I had to pick, yeah, tare is better.
no.
Tare is better.
I like, okay, one fire stick of like negima with salt. I'm like, all right, fucking banger.
Yeah.
2, all right, I can handle 2. 3 in a row, I'm like, come on, give me a different taste. Yeah. Please,
That's literally
mix
my.
it up.
That's
my
why I get half,
dream.
so I can mix it up. I'll start
Yeah.
with one salt to like get to make sure that like all right, the ingredients taste good, it's nice
Yeah.
and cooked, and then I go for the tare for that extra flavor.
Also with the tare, this is like my Southeast Asian showing. I can fucking just put the chili flakes on there, way too many.
And it sticks.
And it sticks on it, and that's the best part of the
Facts.
yakitori for me, man.
Yeah.
That is it.
Nah, if the chicken was juicy enough, they'd stay on.
No, but see, sometimes you go to if you go to like a cheap shit yakitori place, sometimes the salt just doesn't cut it.
Yeah, that's why I said like if I'm going to Torikuzoku,
Yeah.
tare them up.
Yeah,
Tare
exactly.
them up.
Right?
So I need more flavors.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That chicken is
but if I'm
pretty
going to a
nice.
nice place, then yeah, obviously I want to taste the flavor, so I'm more inclined to get the salt one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, this is me saying I want to ruin Japanese cuisine by having
What?
more dipping sauce.
Yeah. The
that would be great.
Yeah, you don't even like sauce.
Yeah, the condiment hater is saying
No,
this.
no. I don't like. I don't like. I don't like condiments.
We've
and
had this
We've had this
argument
conversation.
so
We've had this conversation. I separate them into
The
two
yakitori place I always
two
go
different
to,
things.
where the guy we definitely didn't like foreigners initially. He doesn't even let you choose. It's always shio, and then sukune is tare. You don't get a choice.
Yes.
because he knows what's
Well,
best.
yeah, because he's not going to give you a dry ass fucking salted sukune. Like,
Because
that's,
but
that's
he knows
psychotic.
He knows what's best for the flavors.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you just want
okay.
you just want okay, like for example, like going to a sushi restaurant, right?
I like it when they put the soy sauce on for me. I like it when they do that
Okay.
because they always give you the perfect amount.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they brush it on.
Yeah.
I love that because if I had a brush of me, yeah, I'd be.
But
be
like-
I can't bring a brush of me. You know what I mean? You know?
But like amounts of wasabi you put on.
I
There-
like how much they put on.
there is an optimal amount of wasabi that
Yeah.
every master like sushi chef puts
Yeah, right.
on. It's perfectly balanced. But sometimes I just want to fucking gas myself.
Oh
man.
my God.
Sometimes
No,
there's
God,
this
no,
satisfying
no.
feeling. I know all the flavors are perfect in like omakase fucking sushi.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to go to this cheap ass sushi place, order 10 pieces of the same fucking sushi, my favorite sushi, and just gas myself with probably just a bit too much wasabi. Is there a problem with that? You know, is there a problem with that?
Yeah, because at that point you're not eating the fish, you're eating the fucking wasabi.
All right, let's
That's a
shit take. We're moving on.
Something satisfying.
Did you do that one?
Yeah, I did this one. The Trash Taste Podcast. It's been 5 years.
I mean, it's just different, isn't it? I mean, I think we've just run out of like older stories to tell, so it's become more reflective of current life.
Yeah,
which I think is some people don't enjoy as much.
We're definitely just getting better at just yapping.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I mean, I think
maybe we've always been good at yapping, Joey.
It's also like, I think...
Speak for yourself.
I think when we first started, we put a massive emphasis on making sure that everything was explained.
Yes.
But as we get like 250 episodes in, it's a lot harder to keep people up on like stuff that has happened in the past, because we just can't sit here and explain everything, you know?
Yeah.
Or it's, or we've definitely just gotten to that point now where we're like, I'm pretty sure I've told this story like 5 or 6 times. And you just never have.
And like, so when people are like, man, it's changed. It's like, yeah, of course. It's a weekly show. It has to change over the course of 5 years.
It's been 5 years. A lot will change.
And I don't necessarily like, I don't really mind as well. People are like, oh, I'm done watching Trash Taste or whatever. Yeah. Or, hey, like, I'm a new viewer or whatever. Because it's like, all right, like, I mean, 5 years is a long time to keep up with something.
Absolutely.
I think if it got you through the pandemic and that's all it did, fucking awesome. We're so glad we were able to do that.
Good on you.
And I think that we just appreciate anything and the fact that you guys watch. But yeah, it does change, and it will continue to change.
I mean, you know what's one revelation I had, which was like, okay, I don't blame people for, maybe who were there from the very beginning, who are just kind of like, oh man, it's just like so much now that I just can't keep up. We've done close to 250 episodes now, I guess, at this point.
And we don't talk about much current stuff.
Yeah, we don't talk about much current stuff. But just like from a length perspective, right?
Yeah,
average episode is 2 hours long.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent to 1,000 anime episodes.
Yeah, we have more content than One Piece now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane. So it's like, I don't fucking blame people who are not here every single week. It's fine, dude. It's totally fine. If you want to just check in on us every now and then, we'll be here. Still yapping.
We'll be doing it. We'll be doing it.
You know the biggest change I miss from the good old days?
What?
Seeing Boss Man at Denny's every single week.
Yeah, Boss Man at Denny's.
It hasn't been the same.
Boss Man at Denny's.
It hasn't been the same. Now, Trash Taste recordings, we just get Uber Eats.
Well, we have another Denny's close by, but the vibe is just not the same.
Different.
It's like when we're so jank
when we're in Saitama, it was like, this is our Denny's. You know?
We would walk in and Boss Man would be like, table for 3. Got you right here, boys. It was like, my man.
Yo, every Tuesday, table for 3. Come on in, boys. Come on. Yo, you got a guest today? Yo, don't worry. I'll give you the good booth.
Yeah.
Right next to the window.
That was such a great time. I love when we went to Denny's. That was so good. I do miss Denny's, actually.
Yeah.
I miss the fucking tuna melt sandwich that they would have at lunchtime.
You dip it in the pasta sauce.
Yeah.
Oh.
I miss my power salad.
Power salad. Dude.
Taking out the fucking orange slices out of that shit.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oranges should not be in my salads. I'm sorry.
Oh God, that's a deep Trash Taste metaphor.
Oh my God, yeah, I forgot about it. I had not thought about going to Denny's to Trash Taste in ages.
Yeah.
Wow,
and that used to be a staple. That used to be the staple.
Yeah, that's how we'd start the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was always before lunchtime. Now we eat lunch at the office like degenerates.
Yeah, right.
We should go to the Denny's.
Still eating salad,
we should go to the Denny's next time just to confirm the vibes of that place are not good and that it's not worth. We should do it just to make sure.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do that.
All right, next one.
As a 5-year anniversary, we'll bring that shit back.
Accommodation, like housing, I suppose, or like traveling, or
I guess it's all encompassing.
All encompassing.
I think when we moved here, we just moved to where you lived, and you lived pretty far out.
I did, yeah. And I only lived up there because it was near my uncle's place.
Yeah. Right. So I think at the time we were just like, oh yeah, fucking, we'll move next to Jerry. So we were just far out. And then after you learn the areas a bit more, then you're like, oh, I actually really like this area, or I want to live here, or wherever you can afford, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because the areas vary wildly in price and taxes actually. Depending on which area you live in, your taxes might be significantly higher, so be careful.
Were you ever satisfied with where you guys first moved?
I didn't give a fuck.
Okay.
I had internet and a room for my PC.
Oh yeah, fair enough. He's too gamer.
Yeah. I think and even now I think there's just a lot of comforts that the fucking trash in my building is so good. I can just take out my trash whenever.
Yeah.
That's That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I don't know how much I can comment on this because I've only technically lived in 2 different places.
Yeah, me too.
In the 5 years I've been here.
Right.
And so because the second place I found, I've just been very, very happy with.
Me too.
Very, very much like that. It's a house. You know, I think by the time my lease had ended in Saitama, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to try and move into like a more like house kind of like place.
Sure.
I think I'm just like bored of just most of my life living in like different apartments, whether it be in London or wherever, you know. It's just like I want to try actually living in a house, and very much enjoyed it. Had to be way more aware of the neighborhood because it's not like having neighbors anymore in like apartments where all right, everyone's
like no one cares.
No one cares. All right, if you piss off the neighborhood watch committee, i.e. the grandmas, you are fucked for life. People are like constantly like looking,
coming for your ass.
Yeah, coming for your ass. So you need to make sure the garbage is out on the right day. There'll be times when the neighbor comes to greet you and stuff like that. So it's a different vibe. I much prefer this vibe.
That's
the
good.
only thing I would like to change is dogs or pets. Yeah, because my current place doesn't allow for pets.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that is very, very, like, I found to be very, very hard to find in Japan, which is a place that will allow
you
pets.
cannot find places that will allow pets.
Yeah. Well,
and
I
most
mean,
people just lie.
Yeah, I mean,
most people I know lie.
Yeah, a lot of people do lie. And like, I feel that now that, you know, I have a lot of friends who live here who are not originally from Japan who own pets because they've been here for a long time now. They've had to move to apartments, more specifically newer apartments. Like if it's been, usually from what I've seen, if the apartment has been built within the last maybe 5 to 10 years, 99% of them is pet friendly, because I think Japan understands that, like, oh, the pet culture is like,
and also landlords have now slowly learned that you can just charge extra.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of cases where it's like,
fee.
There's a lot of cases now where, like, if you're in an apartment or a house where it's technically not pet friendly, and you've lived there for long enough, then you can just be like, hey, I've lived here for long enough, I will pay extra if you let me have a dog. And sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes they'll just be like, no pets.
Yeah,
I hate animals.
I think it's hard with, like, I think cats is a bit easier, but dogs is hard because dogs vary in size so massively.
Yeah.
And if you have a giant fucking dog.
Oh, it's rare to find a big dog in Japan, though.
I mean, you see them, though. You see a lot of, especially like Yokohama, bro. I see so many big dogs in Yokohama.
Oh, bro. Okay. I have a neighbor who doesn't live in the apartment building I live in. He lives next door. He has a Mastiff.
Yeah, dude. I went
and then
to
I'm like,
Yokohama,
it's a fucking pony.
Big dogs.
Yeah, it's huge dog. And I'm like, what apartment do you live in where you can house this beast?
Yeah.
In Tokyo, though, it's super, super rare.
Oh yeah, it's always the handbag.
Yeah,
dogs,
it's always like the handbag dogs.
That's so sad, though. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
And they always put them in the fucking buggies. I hate it.
Oh my.
Hate it.
That shit pisses me off so much.
So
like
much.
let the motherfucker walk, please.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's slowly getting better, but also slowly getting worse in some aspects from what I've heard.
I mean, in terms of like hotels, for example, right? Like, it's just like, it was always expensive for as long as I've, remembered. But my God, nowadays, hotels now are so expensive. I remember I was talking to my cousin about this the other day. She was kind of complaining, being like, hotels now have gotten to the point where they're so expensive and they're always so busy that, like, foreigners visiting Japan usually don't have a problem with it. They might be like, oh, that's a little on the pricey side, but, we're on vacation and there's nowhere else to stay, so we'll do that. But now it's getting to the point where there's a lot of the hotels, especially hotel chains, it's getting so expensive that it's almost impossible for locals to afford.
Yeah, at least in Tokyo.
And there's a lot of cities. And there's like a lot of like places, like more major places outside of Tokyo, like say for example like Kyoto or Osaka, where like even locals want to visit, where they just can't afford it anymore. Like it just doesn't make sense. If you live in Japan to pay out the ass for a hotel in Kyoto for 2 days.
Well, it's because like the exchange rate just went to shits. And so
it's really easy to tax extra. Make money off the foreign income, the foreign tourists coming in.
So now there's like, weirdly enough, even though like foreign tourism has, obviously boomed to shit in Japan, local tourism is like kind of struggling because Japanese people just can't afford it sometimes.
Yeah, it's so weird. I think the biggest change I've seen living in Japan is because of the yen tanking and the increase in tourism. I see like a lot of parallels to what Thailand went through. where it became like this cheap tourist destination, and eventually locals, because there are certain areas in Thailand where the prices were way too fucking high for locals, and so local holidays just didn't become a thing in that area, and even though that was like a really, really poor area. I see a similar thing happening in Japan, where because highly touristy areas, the accommodation, and not just the accommodation, a lot of the stuff is getting priced up. Locals can't even afford to go there anymore.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
And it's become more and more catered towards foreigners.
Yeah, it's that problem of like there's Japan is going through that inflation, but the wage is not changing. Like, do you see that? Like, did you see the whole thing about like cabbages in Japan?
Yeah, triple in price.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it got to the point I think where it was like 1,000 yen for a head of cabbage, and it got so ridiculous that restaurants, especially a lot of Japanese restaurants that were very reliant on cabbages, were just like, well, we could just, bite the bullet and just buy these super expensive cabbages, or we'll just, I don't know, shut the restaurant down.
Yeah, I saw a couple of places that were like, no, we'll just shut down.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, why don't you just try and raise the prices? Like, I know you don't like that, but like, my God, that's crazy.
But they would rather shut down the restaurant than raise the prices.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's interesting.
It's called Japanese cabbage shock.
Of course it is. Yeah, whenever we do like cyclothons or we travel around more rural parts of Japan, it's really interesting seeing the hotel prices are like, we'll book rooms for like 8 people. It'll cost like $200. That's insane.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that make any sense? How is it $200 for 8 people, 8 rooms?
Well, probably because they're struggling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, does this even make money? Like, I mean, but I'm like, hey, look, I don't mind.
But to be fair, if they were charging the same prices as like other more major
you
cities,
wouldn't go to
then
them.
you just wouldn't go, right?
Nowhere would go to them, yeah.
So they have to accommodate somehow.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's
Dozo.
see then. What do we got?
Dozo.
Oh, this is a really short one. Jesus.
Let's see.
Akihabara.
Akihabara.
I mean, you just don't go
Yeah,
anymore.
just pick it up on. None of us go anymore. None of us ever went since we actually moved to Japan.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, Akihabara's just changed a lot. I mean, even in 5 years, I feel like it's just gotten... It's slowly removing all the weeb stuff.
Yeah.
And turning it into more of just a generic office-looking area, which that whole area was surrounded by anyway.
Yeah.
So Akihabara is just surrounded by... Every other station is just more a business district, and they're just slowly just turning Akihabara.
Yeah, Akihabara is slowly turning into Kanda, basically.
It's kind
like Kanda's kind of swallowing up Akihabara.
It really is like losing a lot of its charm.
Yeah.
Which is, it's really sad.
All right, something a little more general. Tech.
Okay.
Japanese tech. I mean, you hear from a lot of Japan vloggers and all these Japan TikTokers that like Japan's technology is so ahead of the game.
Because Japan is living in 2035.
But like why?
future.
Yeah. 2035.
Because they have, I don't know, fucking vending machines that talk back to you.
Oh, okay.
But in actuality, if you've lived in Japan or you've been in Japan long enough, it's like very rare you'll come across an actual piece of tech where you're like, ooh, that's cool, or that's really handy. Like, a lot of the tech is kind of just gimmicky in a weird way.
Yeah, and most of the tech that you use nowadays are websites, like interacting with websites, and that's where you feel like Japan is really falling behind.
Yeah. Exactly. If there's one tech that's Japan sucks ass at, it's fucking web design.
Yeah, because think about how much tech you interact with is more UI based as opposed to like physical law.
Definitely.
So in that place, that's where it feels like it's really falling behind.
Well,
and it is getting better, but that's only because I think there is a lot of foreign pressure, a lot of foreign competitors who are coming into the space, like Uber, which is kind of forced, like almost like GoTaxi which GoTaxi is a pretty good app, but the only reason why it's changing is because it has to compete against a foreign competitor who has like amazing UI.
But did you have that honeymoon period when you guys were visiting Japan or when you first moved to Japan where you were kind of like not really trying to seek it out, but maybe you'd see that one thing that you weren't really familiar with and you were like, oh, wow.
I mean, when you
Japan's living in the future.
Yeah, a little bit, but like, then you'd have to fucking book an appointment and you'd be back to square one.
Yeah. I think I had that more when I was a tourist. And
Yeah.
also now I feel like the rest, I don't know if I can point to many things in Japan being like, yo, this is so ahead of the curve in tech. You know what I mean? I'd say people would say stuff like, vending machines, for example.
Yeah. Or like the trains or something.
Or like the trains. And I'm just like, is it ahead of the tech or is it just like efficient?
I mean, like, and like vending machine is old tech.
Vending machines are old tech. You can find, I mean, so there's
People don't buy shit from vending machines in Europe.
Yeah, they don't. It's just
We just don't.
It's just not. It's just not part of the culture. Like the train system is obviously, still it works and it works really, really fucking well. And apparently that's enough to be living in 2035.
Yeah.
Because compare that to like the fucking tube, which is archaic, and has only like one new line in the past 10, 20 years or whatever. But aside from that, I remember the only thing that like blew my mind the first time I moved here. It was such a small thing. I was like, yo, what? You could order sushi on a tablet and then they have a conveyor belt to like bring it to you? Yo, Japan's living in the future, man.
They have two lanes. They have like the top lane, which is like they have the bottom lane, which is like kind of the classic revolving sushi.
Yeah.
And then they have the top lane, which is the bullet train sushi.
Yeah.
That shit gets delivered to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, I remember
exactly.
the first time I saw that, I was like, yo, we're living in the future. But I mean, look, it got old really quickly.
Yeah, but like now, it's just like, damn, I actually think Japan is behind in a lot of places.
I
and
agree.
It's kind of just catching up. Yeah. Like, I think the one thing I really liked about, the Japanese technology and culture was that it really, as an introvert, it was really helpful in terms of going to places and just not having to interact with people. You'd go to a restaurant and you could order off a tablet
or press a button
or do something else. And now COVID has just equalized all that shit, because you go to the UK, you go to Nando's, you can order it all on your QR code now.
Yep.
So that problem has now been solved in the Western world.
Yeah. I guess in that aspect, countries like Japan were kind of ahead of the curve when it came to things like QR codes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's like pretty fucking common everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was a point where everyone hated QR codes. They were like, what the fuck is this? No one's going to use this shit. And now everyone uses it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm fucking excited when I see, holy shit, this place has now got contactless payment. No fucking way. No way. Japan is finally catching up to the future, man.
Yeah, Japan has only recently started really like rolling out contactless.
Yeah.
And even then, I think the limit is still pretty low. Well, I guess it was in the UK when it was rolling out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like Japan is still behind and will continue to be behind, is the sentiment.
I think so.
Until, some major shakeup.
Yeah, so, bottom line is, like, don't get fooled by all these, like, fucking TikToks that are like, Japan's living in the future, because it's not.
Like, and most of those things that you see, like, Japan's living in the future, it's just like extra service.
Yeah.
Like, it's like people doing things.
That's what I mean. It's gimmicky.
Yeah. It's like, and that they, it is great service. And that's one thing that you cannot fault Japan is the service.
Japan's living in the future.
Service is phenomenal.
Yeah, Japan's living in the future. They have a robot restaurant now. I'm like, okay, that's not going to change the way I fucking live day to day, though.
I'd say the only thing Japan is living in the future is just, it's like infrastructure. Things just work here. Yeah. Things work very well and very consistently. Yeah. And that's it.
The public transport tech is probably the only thing. Yeah. I would say. Everything else, they're just like,
life here is just convenient. You'll never be too far away from a konbini, fucking vending machine. You'll have your needs catered to in some way, shape, or form, and it's very convenient to get. And I think that is, outside of any gimmicky technology, that is the thing that fucking sets Japan apart from everywhere else.
Facts.
It just works.
Facts and logic.
Yes.
Facts and logic, indeed.
All right.
What's next?
Music.
I have no opinions on this.
Huh?
I have no opinions on this.
I have opinions on this.
Go on.
Every fucking underground artist or band I used to listen to when I moved to Japan is now doing anime openings for the biggest fucking anime of all time, and I'm just not special anymore. I'm just another one in the crowd now.
What do you mean?
I will say, like, I did notice that, like, I don't know how to say it, but like, it used to be like whenever you'd hear those like top 10 playlists, they'd always like scan through and like the trains, whatever.
Yeah.
Used to be like way more like cutesy, more moe kind of things would appear up a lot, and now it's a lot more like creepy nuts, that kind of stuff.
There's still a lot of that for
still
sure.
a lot of it, but like I feel like it's less as much.
Yeah, I feel like if there's one thing I've definitely noticed about Japan's music scene is that, like, for one, it's like the live music scene in Japan is better than ever, in my opinion. I think, like, especially when you compare it to like where I grew up in Sydney, where like live music is basically dead now and it's all been replaced by fucking casinos and slot machines. Like, it's just nice to be like, oh my god, there's like live music playing. finally.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's like somewhere small and like
There's
that.
so many like small and mid-sized venues in Japan.
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
think
and
really
there's like a lot of
helps.
like underground jazz bars and like, you know, even some like pub like places sometimes are playing a live band, and like, you know, every other artist overseas is like coming to Japan to play like one show for the year.
Yeah.
And that's always nice, but like, yeah, no, I've I've definitely noticed that with like especially anime openings now.
Look, I'm just gonna.
It's either Yoasobi,
No.
Creepy Nuts.
I was gonna say, when I moved to Japan, I'd be like, yo, I love this band. I love these artists like Yoasobi, Eve as well.
Yeah.
Eve.
Well, Japan, they do that thing. What's that like?
Yeah.
The Buzz Lightyear meme where he's like, "I'm done with you now."
Yeah.
And Japan does that for a year.
Yeah.
I remember when like Man with a Mission was like everywhere.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
I haven't fucking seen
Or like
anything.
One Ok Rock.
yeah.
Like they were around everywhere, and now you just don't hear about
Yeah,
them anymore
yeah.
because
Yeah.
like, there's Yoasobi and Creepy Nuts now. This is the new toy to play with.
Well,
And-
I feel like it's just gotten to a new level of popularity. Because Man with a Mission was like everywhere in Japan at a point, but it's not on the same level of popularity as what like Yoasobi has gotten or
Yoasobi's
Creepy Nuts has
crazy.
gotten, which is now they're like a worldwide phenomenon. you
yeah,
know?
that is true.
I mean, wasn't Idol like the most like number one on the Billboard Top 100 or something
in Japan?
globally?
Oh, globally?
Globally, yeah.
Fuck.
Can you search this up?
Yeah.
I know.
I think this-
Definitely in Japan it was.
Japan
Yeah,
was number one for a
definitely.
long, but I don't think globally it was like number one.
Idol.
I mean, it was big even overseas.
top
from what I
100
remember.
globally.
Oh yeah, tops. Wait, hold on, go up.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
up.
42
Tops
and
Bill
19.
global exclusive US chart.
So excluding the US
Whoa.
chart,
Excluding-
Idol.
excluding US.
Yeah,
Oh,
excluding the US,
So
Idol.
I think including US it was like 42, and which is still
Yeah.
great.
Which is still
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was number one globally, of course, not including the US charts, which
Fucking hell.
which you know is massive.
Yeah.
considering
That's
the popularity
I mean, that
of
was
anime before.
completely like unfathomable. 5 years ago,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
even 10 years ago. Like a Japanese band that did a fucking anime opening is like
Yeah.
now in the top Billboard charts. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that there's a lot more Japanese music now because of things like anime and gaming that have just kind of superseded the anime community now. And just regular non-anime fans are like, hey, this like Japanese band? Like it's like people in the West are discovering that Japan makes music all of a sudden.
Yo, it's like the fucking what's the opening to Serial Experience Lane?
Duvet.
Duvet. Like now
That's a
like,
TikTok song.
No,
now.
that's it. It's a TikTok
I
song
couldn't
now.
fucking believe that
I
shit.
was like, wait.
Yeah.
A lot of people
It's an
like,
incredibly popular song to play on TikTok.
Yeah.
It became like a meme.
it became a meme, and then I was talking to my nephew, and he was like, "Oh, I know that song. That's that TikTok song." And I'm like, I'm happy you know it, but
As an SEL fan, it made me want to kill myself. I was like, no.
I'm like, yeah, you was. I'll take it. You know,
A win's a win.
A win's a win. But yeah, it's so weird because now that is more known as a TikTok song than
That's sad.
the banger
That's so
Serial
sad.
Experience Lane song.
Hey, better someone know it than not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Okay, spring season.
But there is a part of me, there's the hipster side of me that's like, don't you fucking say this name in vain. You don't know anything about this song. You weren't there.
I was there when the scriptures were written.
Exactly.
being a YouTuber.
It's gotten, I would say, a lot harder.
You think so? Like
Yeah.
how so?
Because, we've had some instances in the past where the word YouTuber has not definitely...
Okay.
Yeah, being
Yeah.
a YouTuber in Japan has definitely, in one regard, okay, it's weird. In one regard, it's gotten a lot easier because now Japan is finally, settled to the point where there are big fucking celebrities in Japan who are YouTubers who are treated just as well as,
If not
TV
more.
celebrities,
Like,
if not more.
Hikakin is like fucking royalty here.
Yeah, Hikakin's like a god here, right? Whereas there's the opposite side where I think for a lot of foreigner YouTubers like us living in Japan, it's gotten a lot harder because of, certain events that happen in
Meiwaku
Japan.
YouTubers,
Yeah,
nuisance
Meiwaku YouTubers,
They
yeah.
made a whole fucking word for it.
Yeah. There's a whole word for it now of like nuisance YouTubers.
And this isn't just foreign. This is domestic as well.
Yes,
There's
of
been
course.
a lot of
Yeah.
notorious and infamous Japanese YouTubers who have also caused a bunch of trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's I think for a country like Japan that is very, very quick to jumping to conclusions and almost like shoving propaganda, especially on things like TV, of like, oh, you know, we've taken a couple of these like very, you know, standalone instances and just generalized the entire subject and given you this whole image of like YouTubers are either fucking ruining the country or they're the next big thing. It's like there's no in between.
Yeah.
So if you fall into either one of those camps, then you're pretty much going to be there for the majority of your career.
There's a good chunk of some news stations that will like literally just have like a weekly segment of like foreigners who did bad thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because a lot of the times it's like, it feels like they're really grasping at straws to find something.
Yeah.
Like I saw one where they had like a whole fucking segment about this one guy, like 20, 30 minutes long. But this guy who, you know, there's some stores in Japan where you can get like frozen gyoza and you have to leave 1,000 yen.
Yeah.
He like didn't pay. And they made like a whole 20-minute segment on it. I'm like that's bad, and he shouldn't have done that. But this just really warrant a 20-minute segment about, is this really like the only crime that you could find?
This is why I hate Japanese TV.
Like, and I'm not trying to like tier list crimes here, but I feel like we must have ran out of foreigners doing crime that we could talk about.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then like sometimes I'll have other crimes where when you look into it a bit more, the story's a lot more complex than it seems, and perhaps like maybe there's sometimes like they have these you know, like they'll be like, oh, this Vietnamese guy did something fucking awful, and then it'll be like, yeah, but he was also practically being held hostage on like a farm where he was being paid like 100 yen a day.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, what's going on here? Like,
it's always like generalizing to like, you know, talk about a certain agenda that just works for them and their audience, right? Which is a shame.
But which is all kind of, we're explaining that because it's all kind of fed into the attitude of like filming in Japan. It's definitely a little different. You do have to be a bit more cautious with things, and a lot, you know, you have to be very respectful as always. But I don't think it's been, I feel like it really depends where I go. I feel like a lot of the time I've had an easier time. Sometimes I've had a lot harder a time.
Yep.
And it really just depends who I'm working with. I'm very person dependent, but overall it hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say is that YouTubing in Japan has become a lot more saturated.
Yep.
Like there's a lot more YouTubers here now.
Definitely.
Because obviously we were here during COVID, and it was pretty much like us, Chris, Sharla, a couple of other people, but like in terms of like you know, but now it feels like there's fucking everyone and their mum is a YouTuber in Japan.
I've also
especially the short side of things.
Like
shorts.
YouTube
Shorts
yeah.
is just like blown up,
and TikTok and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, then it's all. I think that's also why, like, I think personally speaking, I've kind of tried to find my own niche, or I've gone to generally like things that require more money.
Yeah.
Like doing the Ozu experience.
The Mr. Beast method.
Yeah. It's like, for me, it's like, okay, now if everything that is normal has kind of already been covered, I don't want to redo or retread what people have done to death.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find stuff that's kind of interesting, kind of new, which either requires more work hours to get that thing done or requires more money to spend to get the thing going.
See, that's fascinating because like this year for me, I'm actually doing the opposite.
Yeah.
With my second channel, I'm going back to like old school J-vlogging because it's like, I think
it's different though. It's different.
Yeah,
like, where I'm trying to like cover something interesting and offer.
Yeah,
like,
no. I'm not saying what you're doing is bad, of course, but you know, I've realized that like I think because now the whole like kind of just classic J-vlogging scene is definitely not as prominent as when I first moved to Japan, right? Like almost 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who just like miss just like the
just seeing what
meat and bones,
for sure.
cut and dry J-vlogging, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've been having fun with that.
Yeah, I just feel like there's less stuff that I can do. That's why I'm always doing like fucking crane games and lucky bags,
Well,
which I also enjoy doing. To be fair,
that's why I'm also.
I like doing it too.
But that's also why, like, you know, I'm kind of bringing back the J-vlogging thing because I've realized that some people just want to see shit, even if it's like kind of mundane.
Yeah, my daily life's fucking boring.
Yeah.
I fucking do shit.
That's why 5 years ago, I was sitting in a room talking about anime. And now 5 years later, I'm also sitting in a room talking about anime.
Garnt stands the test of time.
Except sometimes I'm now
on
live
camera
when I do it.
Nice. All right, let's do one more then. Let's just,
final one. Here we go.
Final one.
Arcades. Hey, that's a good segue from your.
I mean, yeah. Look, I spent a lot of time in them. I mean, look, now
You become the crane game master.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at them. Not gonna lie. Spent a lot of
I
money.
definitely do not go to arcades as much anymore.
I don't.
Well, arcades have changed massively. So the one thing that's changed, particularly over COVID, and it started around right before COVID, because you know I came here as a tourist, and obviously you've been here for a while. But arcades used to have like like I don't know, obviously I didn't have this, but like let's say a handshake agreement where it's like half the arcade was games, half the arcade was purikura and like crane games, UFO catchers, whatever you want to call them. And now there's a lot of arcades where it's either all crane games, and I mean just all crane games, or gacha in some form.
I was gonna say like half of it would be like dedicated.
Yeah, it used to be like the first two floor. Yeah, and then they had the Fate floor. Before,
the
which
Fate
is gone
floor.
now.
Yeah,
it used to be like like if you went in a building in Akihabara, for example, there's a bunch of them that there's like maybe like what six odd arcades in Akihabara that are pretty big. It would always be like the first 2 floors were crane games.
Yep.
That was always it, because those were the ones where they had high foot traffic. People would try and win prizes. They'd give up to 5 times and they'd leave. So they were big money makers. And then, the real gamers, the real arcade enjoyers knew, third floor was like basically the Fate game where it was like you had to buy cards.
Yeah.
I don't know what do they have a genre? What do they call? Basically, games where you had to gacha for packs to keep playing the game against other players.
Instead of buying digital PNGs, you'd buy real
basically
PNGs.
gacha games that were physical, and they were half gacha, half like card games, half real games.
Yeah.
There used to be a whole floor for those. And then somewhere they would have a gambling machine, like the horse racing. And then the 4th floor was like the fucking game games.
Yeah.
Like the
best
Mario
ones.
Kart.
Yeah,
They'd have the fucking some of the
fighting games. Yeah.
And then the 5th floor was normally the fighting game exclusive floor.
Yeah.
Which is like just for fucking hardcore gamers who are living there.
Yeah.
And that was like normal, obviously there's some that are like 7, whatever. But that was like the normal split. It was like 3-2.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming, at least not all in Akihabara, because Akihabara also they do have a lot of games.
Yeah.
But at least outside of Akiba, it's like it's gone from either like that ratio to either 80% crane games to 20% games, or just 100% crane games.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's just harder to find arcades with games because it's all crane games now.
Yeah,
it is.
I think what's happening is that they're going to just be completely separate, and it's going to be an arcade for games, or it's going to be crane games. I think that's what it's working towards.
Yeah,
because I think what happened is that they realized that tourists often only want to win something from a show they recognize, or a property they like. And so a lot of the time when you only have like 2 floors, it's maybe conservatively 60 odd machines.
Yeah.
You can only fill those up with so many things and prizes. So I think now they've realized, we can just keep people in there longer, playing more.
I think it's also just the fact that like when it comes to a lot of those like arcade games, like, the classics, like, the Street Fighters and the Metal Slugs and all that
they just
kind
don't
of
make
stuff.
money.
One, they don't make money, and 2, people can just play it on their computers or their consoles at home.
Also, the barrier of entry is higher. Crane game, you just load up a few coins. You either get the thing or you don't. So with some of the arcade machines, do I need a card for this?
Bro,
do I need to register?
The JoJo Battle Royale game.
Yeah.
It's like 400 yen. It's so complicated to just get in a game.
Yeah.
It's like miserable from like an experience.
A lot of the
trying to get
rhythm
into.
games as well, it's like you usually need like an account or a card that's attached to it, otherwise you can't save your progress. I will say though, the last time I did go to an arcade, which was quite a while ago, but it was sometime last year, I just went with Aki just because we were like, let's just see what the arcades are up to nowadays.
Yeah.
We spent like a good couple of hours on the metal game 4.
Okay.
With like all the casino places.
Yeah.
Dude, fun as fuck. Like legitimately.
I love the Mario Party game.
Legitimately really fun.
Maybe you just like gambling, Joe.
It's because like I never really gave them a try.
Yeah.
Because I always was like, because I don't really like going to casinos or gambling or anything like that. But it's like, if you go in with the notion of like, I'm gonna spend, maybe 2,000-3,000 yen on some coins and then just fucking throw them into the machine, see sparks flying.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Like you just kind of go in. I don't know how to play half the games half the time, but I'm just like, fuck it, just chuck it in. Let's just see what happens. And it's, I don't know, it's a good way to just play around with it. And I don't know. I've always neglected that side of arcades for some reason, but it's good fun if you have a couple, rather than, because like I'm not a crane game person.
Yeah.
So it's like I'd rather lose money on something like that.
I normally don't play crane games off of camera.
Yeah.
Normally, I do sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Normally,
Immersion broken.
Yeah.
mainly because I get flashbacks. And I don't like it.
That's work now.
Yeah. But unless there's like a prize, I won't play them unless there's a prize I want or someone else wants a prize.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be like,
for sure.
all right, let me handle this. See what I sent? But yeah, they've kind of opted from going, in places like Kyoto, Tokyo, they've realized they can just make way more money if they cater towards tourists because,
Of course.
and the thing is that tourists, they give up
Yeah.
which they don't want you to do.
Yeah.
Because if you give up after 5 turns, they've got exactly what they've wanted.
Yeah.
Which is they can like reset the machine. Now some other guy's going to come along, put $5 in.
Yeah.
What they don't want is you putting $5 in, Sumasening, getting into a good position. Maybe you don't get it again. You Sumasen again. You've got it in $10. That's like, because they'll probably still make money from you, but you're in that area for a while and not making them like the money that they want.
Yeah, for sure.
They buy these toys in bulk, so no matter how quickly you win it, they're not losing money.
Or if you're in places like Akihabara, just go next door. And they're usually selling what they have in the crane game for like 1,000 yen.
Yeah,
But you don't get that satisfaction.
Yeah, I mean, the fun is winning it.
The story, there's no fun in that.
Okay,
It's the experience, Joey.
Yeah, sure.
Otherwise, let's just go on eBay. Yeah, let's just go on fucking
I fucking do.
Rakuten.
Definitely, like if you were a person who always wanted to come to Japan, and you've always wanted that day experience at an arcade, come now, please. I don't know how much time you have left.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. All right, well then, overall, what would you say?
Better.
5 years long?
Life in Japan? Life in Japan?
Life in Japan.
Yeah, better, man. Way better.
Like, if you
I'm
take it
still here.
all together.
I mean, we're still here for a reason. We're still here for a
My visa
reason.
ran out 2 years ago. I haven't left. Okay, that's a joke. I'm
trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I love it. I just don't think I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
I like it too much, man. It's so fun.
Yeah, of course.
It's convenient. Yeah,
right
I'm
on.
gonna stay here for a few more years.
yeah.
I say this every year. I'm like, I got more years in me.
I
Baby.
got one more in me.
I got one more in me.
Well, there you go. That was the 5-year retrospect. Let us know
enjoyed.
your
Yeah.
thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Hey, look at all these patrons, though.
They're so beautiful.
They're supporting us.
They're so beautiful.
Yeah.
If you guys have visited
So
Japan, let us
sexy.
know what is your favorite part about Japan or your least favorite part. We'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. But hey, while you're at it, why don't you join the Patreon right now? Because not only will you be supporting the show, but you get extra content every single week. We upload Patreon exclusive content every single week, and we have a brand new one that you guys can go check out right after this one. Mudan, play a clip of that.
No! Oh my god, Connor, nice save.
Go ahead, get
Is
in.
there a way to switch the camera to like follow the ball?
Yeah, why? A triangle on PlayStation.
Oh, okay. I was like, I couldn't see where I was going. Yeah, mine is like automatically.
God, please jump. I beg you, jump. Look at this. God goes right next to it. Fucking drives underneath it.
I'm
Jump!
Okay, I won't say you have jump. You can jump. Oh my god, how is he? How does he have the hops? His hops are mad.
Yeah, you can literally like fly in this game if you know what you're doing, which none of us do.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I have a boost. I need to be able to
All right,
use
someone
that.
stay back in goalie.
Yeah. Okay, I will.
Fuck.
Okay. Where is it?
Oh my god. It's coming to you, Joe. It's coming up.
Lord, have mercy.
Joey, stay in the goal. Why are you trying to goal from the middle?
But hey, if you want to check that out and support the show in the process, head on over to patreon.com/trashtaste. Also follow us on Twitter, send us some memes on the subreddit, and if you hate our face, listen to us on Spotify. And
We'll see you guys next time. Bye. Okay, I need a piss.